following is a special presentation. From the Captain eSports Network.
This isn't just a game. This is iRacing. Three rounds into the Sim500 NCAA11.org playoffs, and we have seen some pretty crazy racing already, and tonight it's going to get a little crazier as they have got the white gloves rolling this afternoon at Richmond Raceway. It's race number 4 of the playoffs, and it is from the action track, 3/4 miles long. It is a track that usually has a lot of average, or a lot of great racing, I should say, and a lot of average wrecks, I guess, per se. I don't know what else to put that at, but something spectacular, including one of the biggest in this league's history, which happened earlier this season in the Xfinity side of things. But tonight we go racing for 160 laps on a track that is nothing of average. It is a great track of Richmond Raceway for 160 laps, as mentioned here. I'm the captain. Of course, Kevin England joins me. And Kevin, last time we were here, we saw 3 lead changes. We saw the Kevin King show again as he went to victory lane in this race. We saw a very long green flag run. However, that race was under the lights. This afternoon, this race not under the lights. And all I'm hearing is people just saying, this thing's undrivable. This thing's crazy. This thing is all over the place. That could be interesting.
They're coming off the corner sideways. They're beating and banging. And let's not forget, this is a short track. So
Yeah,
I do anticipate there's going to be a lot of action. Bottom feeders, they're going to be running the bottom. They're going to be running as hard as they can to get speed coming up off the corner. And they're going to be running right on top of each other, Chris. Those different things, small track, running right on the bottom, all wanting the same lane and on top of each other, are going to make for an exciting race. I think we're going to see something different. We're going to see cautions. Cautions bring action. And will Kevin King come to repeat what he did back in August, or will he have a moment where he's going to have to claw and fight his way through this field? And could we have a different winner here tonight?
Yeah, that's going to be a great question that we'll have to answer here in the next little bit or so, because this is the 5th time in now tonight, going to be the 13th race here in the Cup Series at Richmond Raceway, and the 5th time that this race has been ran in the fall. Now, the fall race has not had more than 7 cautions in a race. With that said, the last 2 races here, both the spring race earlier this year and in the fall race last year, had only 2 cautions apiece. Of course, the fall race won by Scott Simley, the spring race won by Kevin King. Needless to say, first thing we have to do is go qualifying. And I'm going to go ahead and put out a a disclaimer right now for when it comes to qualifying. 1, there will be no track record broken here tonight, because we are almost 3/4 of a second off of that record, which was set in August when Kevin King ran at 22 flat around this 3/4 mile track. So here we go. Qualifying presented by 811. Know it's below and call before you dig. I would expect, Kevin, that the quickest lap here is going to be that second lap as you get these tires up to temp.
Yeah, I would agree with that, as Jorgensen was one of the first ones off, and Jorgensen Jr. is going to come across the line to start his time. And we'll see right from him. He's got his foot to the floor going through turns 1 and 2, hanging out to the back straightaway. And I think he should put first P1 time up for everybody here. Carving that yellow line, the car looks good coming up out of fourth, past the Geico restart zone and across the stripe. Joe Hudson P1, now Mark Jorgensen, a 22.896 is the benchmark for everybody else to hit here as he's going to run lap 2, and then we'll get the answer to your question. Will lap 2 be faster through turns 3 and 4? He comes again, carving the white line right down there, rolls off. Good run up off the corner. He's going to come across the stripe.
88. A little bit quicker.
878. He improved it just a little bit right now and still sitting on top of the heap.
Jason Karlovage, who finished second in the race in the spring, he is second. Justin Fuller, who was not here back in August. I say the spring, that was summertime. He is third right now. Joe Hudson, Doy Woods, as Mike Kelly jumps up there with Scott Simley, of course, the race winner last season here. As Eric Arnold jumps up there across the board, about 16 cars have run laps here so far. Wesley Donaldson has put it in the inside wall off turn 4. Here comes the Talking Giants 84 car. Double duty, we'll call it tonight for Eric Arnold, Anthony Calantoni, as he will be watching the Giants probably play their Monday Night Football game while this race goes on. As Jose Medina back on track here, he is in a 24 car. He's also out there, David Comstock, EJ O'Rourke, Tyler Dalton, Kevin Brown, and Justin Mons all on track.
Dalton scrubbed his tires coming off of pit road, left, right, trying to get just a little bit of heat in it. And he's going to get right to it. No coasting on that first lap. The 19 put the spurs to it. And we'll see if Dalton, who is always a threat to win the pole, can come out here tonight and knock Jorgensen off, who's still there. First one out. A lot of these drivers, they take their time, Chris, because they're watching the temperature and the clouds and things like that.
Yeah, they want to get a cloud over that track just to get that little bit more grip. As Kevin Stone, we watch him cross the line. He is 20th right now, 23.33. And, and look who's on track. He snuck into the room here at the last second.
Yeah.
As Mr. King is here, as I'm getting messages about something here somewhere. I think that's actually...
Yeah, I don't know how Dalton's going to play out here as King goes to the top on his first lap. Dalton, 8th fastest. The first lap, I think he did a throwaway. He ran an unconventional line trying to get the tires up to temperature, and then the car looked really out of control through turns 1 and 2. It just did not set in the racetrack. In 3 and 4, he missed the bottom. And the perennial pole winner for how many races we see over and over again, he's not even going to be in the top 5 tonight.
Nope, going to be 9th, 23.44 as King goes 22.76 and puts himself on the pole and literally just showed up.
Yeah, and we're going to have, again, how many times have we seen it this season? The 29 on the pole and the 88 to his right-hand side.
Oh, man.
The 3 of those, I don't know about Jorgensen Jr. He's not been able to win a lot of poles, so to speak. But between he and Tyler Dalton and Kevin King, they have dominated the front row almost all season long.
Yeah, they've been the guys to beat. Obviously, King is going to be if there was a front row award this season, it would go to him. Obviously, for the most poles this season, he's already got that clinched. But I would go ahead and agree with you that Mark Jorgensen is the number 1 and number 2 position. Don't know how to word that without trying to be funny.
That works.
I mean, it's going to sound bad no matter what. Yeah, either way, though, it looks like qualifying going to come to an end here in about 5 seconds, and it will be Kevin King once again winning the 811 Pole Award. The guy that led 156 out of 160 laps here back in August is going to start on the pole here with Mark Jorgensen in the second position, as we remind ourselves that we will have a 5-minute pre-race warm-up here, so it gives us a minute to maybe talk to a driver or two, and let's see who we go snooping down here in the channel. And let's
while you're poking around, I'll say that this week, obviously, the stars of NASCAR raced Homestead. We have reserved Homestead for the final race of the season. And so we come to Richmond here tonight, and I think that plays a dynamic on the race because a lot of drivers will race NIS or other places to get a sense, and they practice. Here, the drivers have to practice on their own, and I wonder how many of them turn laps at Richmond before tonight. Now, this is obviously one of the most popular tracks, and it's one that drivers are comfortable. They could just show up and run it, but yeah, it's going to be an interesting race to see how the drivers adapt under these conditions tonight.
I agree 100%. As they bring Jason Karlovage up here, and the reason why Jason's up here with us is, well, Jason finished second in this race back in the, or I'm sorry, he did not finish second. Was he in this race? I've got him mixed up with another driver, but either way, Jason is here, and he's ready to go racing. He's not Mark Jorgensen. Either way, Jason, man, obviously, tonight, tough track. I've been hearing a lot of slickness out of these cars, and, man, what's it going to take for you to get a good finish tonight?
Yeah, you got that right. It's gonna be a tough race. Setup is pretty challenging. It's loose but pretty snappy on exit, so you might see some people overcorrect coming out of the corner. Yeah, overall, I feel like short tracks have been working out. Finished second at Bristol.
Bristol. That's I was looking it up. Go ahead.
Yeah, but it overall felt pretty good. Got a long run in. I think as long as we can keep the car clean, have a good shot at decent finish tonight.
And that's where I was looking them up, because I was looking up numbers earlier, and I remember your average finish was like second on short tracks because, well, you only made one short track start, and that was at Bristol. So, but obviously, man, this is going to be a tough task here tonight. Do you see the groove opening up potentially and spreading out the track?
Yeah, I think so. I think I noticed that a little bit in practice already, where you can run a little bit higher up, kind of get a wider entry and arc it down in the corner to get a good exit. So I think it'll widen up. I think people will start being able to move a little bit all over the place. Just, yeah, hoping we can get some green flag racing and get settled into a long run.
All right, buddy. Well, hey, best of luck here this evening, and maybe you'll get a second, or if not, a better finish and win.
Yeah, appreciate it. Have a good time up in the booth.
You too, buddy. Jason Karlovage, appreciate his time as he's hanging out in, I'm trying to remember which channel I saw you in. Were you Misfits?
Yes.
Okay, I was trying to remember what channel he was in. As we send him down there now, I know what channel this other guy was in, because I see him there right now. We're going to pull him up, and that's the guy that actually did finish second in this race. I mistaken him for Mr. Karlovage, and that being, yes, Mr. Mark Jorgensen Jr. had a great finish last week, finally being able to run a full race without something happening to you last week. But unfortunately, you were trying to do what you could to compete with Kevin there for the win in the race, and some strategies and things happened. But tonight you start on the outside pole for about the 15th time this season, and a chance to win this race. What's it going to take, buddy?
It's going to take Kevin making a mistake, getting wrecked out, tire strategy, something. But man, I was really licking my chops when I saw that he tricked us. He registered at the last minute, no practice, none whatsoever, as far as I'm concerned. The son of a gun went a tenth quicker. So he's just an absolute blast to have a part of the series, man. And I try to tell everybody, like, them guys to come over here and race with us is our time to ask a lot of questions, and he's been an absolute help. Got to get a little bit better, got to get a little bit quicker, obviously. I mean, if I need to, I'll just go ahead and ship them off into one, go ahead and just take care of it right off the bat, and then maybe I might win.
Well, believe it or not, before I know he arrived kind of late here into the session, but the one thing I caught was people actually saying, man, I wonder what Jorgensen's doing. That dude is fast tonight.
Oh man, I just backing up the corners and just wrapping that yellow. I just kept it in fifth gear the whole entire time. Messed around with the brakes. My brake bias is actually really, really low. I was telling the guys in Discord I was down to 42.7% on my brake bias, and man, they was flat wrecking getting into the corners. But no, it's not for everybody. I mean, it is loose, but I feel like you're going to need that to help the center rotation late in these runs. So we're definitely going to give it hell. I can't wait. Hopefully it works out. I mean, I just want to talk to y'all at the end of the race. So, it's either going to be talking to y'all or ending up in the catch fence.
Absolutely, man. Hey, best of luck. In
there's no middle ground, Chris.
This is true. Well, do me a favor. Don't sit on the middle of the track during the race.
I got you. I'll try not to. I appreciate it, guys.
You too, buddy. Be safe. That is Mark Jorgensen, who is literally sitting on the front straightaway during an interview. It's kind of funny. Hey, let's go trackside for the playing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
All right, cars are on the track as we take a look at the starting lineup here from Richmond. Kevin King on the pole, Mark Jorgensen on the outside. As you look through your lineup here, Jason Karlovich, Mike Kelly, Justin Fuller, your top five. Fuller did not run this race in the spring. If you remember the Iowa race, which, you know, he could argue a lot more grip in that Iowa track than there is here at Richmond. He did have that race won until turn 4 on the final lap. You'll notice Joe Hudson did not grid, so he will start from pit road here, as we got 33 cars officially on the grid. Brian Wortman, Doug Sigmund, Mark Schrader, Gerald Livingston, your final 4 starters in the race. 160 I laps, apparently. Don't ask why I threw an I in there. 3 sets of tires, 2 overtimes if needed. 78 degrees. That track temp at 116. We'll have to watch that and see if it goes up or down. That'll definitely play a role in how much grip we have in this track. As Kevin, I hand it to you for the start, my friend.
King, Karlovich, Kelly, they make up the first 2 rows along with Mark Jorgensen Jr. that we talked to earlier. He starts in second as they grab the gears and slam the throttle down. We're racing here at Richmond as they head to turn 1. King breaks out on the bottom line, side by side for second. Here comes the run for the 88 to the high side. And right now, everybody's clean to the back straightaway.
Off turn 4, yeah, everybody clean. I think more racing the track, I think, is going to be a terminology you are going to hear this evening. Our cameras presented by TrackCams22.com. They are online on Facebook and the iRacing forums at TrackCams22.com. As King leads lap 1, and I noticed up in the top left, it is actually a 180 lap race tonight, not 160. So there's a little curveball that was thrown. We were planning on a 180, but or a 160, but either way, all good.
Yeah, top 5 drop to the bottom line. Single file as the third place car gets a little nervous, steps out. Karlovich catches it. That's going to allow Mike Kelly to slot in there along with the 51. Fuller gives him a lot of room, and well, right in front of them, it is going to be a 3-car battle. And who comes into the mix? It's the 31 of Eric Arnold. First car to the high side over there in 3 and 4.
Yo, let's see.
Is he going to catch it?
He did. Nice catch by Colby.
Wow.
They're still trying to wreck back here. Tony's out of control in the grass. That started with Joey Datina getting loose on the back straightaway. He had a bad angle into the corner, and he clipped the 28 of Patrick Colby into 3. He had to go catch her, and then Tony's in the grass. A whole bunch of RG-bargy here.
Yeah, these drivers talked about how the track is it's a little bit slippery. Cars are not in the racetrack. The cars feel a little loose coming up off the corner. We saw the 31, for example, in practice, just flat sideways coming off turn 2. Not sure if he was just testing the limits, but here we got a car sideways
Doy Woods
and around. It's Doy Woods down there in turn 3 and 4. He's going to single car spin and come to a stop. We're going to go to caution number 1 here on lap number 6.
Doy tried to, he tried to make a pass on the apron. And I mean, all 4 on the apron. And that's a lot less grippier and a lot, what's the word, dirty, I guess be another way to put it, when it comes to that lane down there. So Dory Woods brings out the first caution, a little self-spin for the Haviland 00 car. Let's look at the replay here. As he was trying to get underneath the Comstock here, going into 3 and 4, and, well, he made his own groove up here.
Yeah, when you get down on that apron and the left side tires are completely over there, it unsettles the car. It just snaps away when you come back to the racetrack. And the good news for everybody else is he kept his foot in it and keeping the throttle going. It spun the car, but it also pushed it down to the bottom of the track. He didn't wash up into the groove, and everybody else could see what was going on and able to avoid calamity. But we've got trouble here for Dory Woods early, lap number 6, and I don't think anybody's going to take advantage of pitting here. Although, you know, we did not talk about this yet, Chris, because we haven't had time. Fuel mileage could be an interesting thing with the extra laps here. So will people stop and top off? That's an interesting question. Wow, look at the move that the 91 did to miss that.
So it looks like to me, I wonder if Doy didn't trust that Comstock was going to give him room, so he threw it on the apron to like avoid a car, like a bad wreck.
Well, we could go back to Jorgensen Jr. talking about brake bias. Drivers crank the brake bias into the car in order to make it turn left. And in these early laps, you really have to kind of get used to the feel of pressing the brake, turning left, slowing down, and you step on the brake with high number of brake bias and the car hooks left. Maybe it went a little, you know, if you don't go in, and this, maybe you've done this, Chris, you go in not as fast as you normally do, but you apply the same amount of brake. And when the car hooks left, it really goes almost down to the apron, like what we saw there.
And it's a weird way to explain this. And Chad Coleman, actually, is he coming to pit road? No, he's pulling a fake. Did see some towards the back coming to pit road here. And I want to answer the fuel question here in a second. The open wheel car, you get this more distinguished in, because I've had times where you get loose at like Indianapolis or something like that, and because you're going in at like a 40 mile an hour less speed because you got loose or slid the car, it all of a sudden snaps around on you and wrecks because you're not going fast enough. You have to remember these cars are set up to run 140 mile an hour down the straightaways, 100 mile in the corners. So when you try to turn the car at 50 miles an hour and go down the straightaway at 100, the car's not going to act right. So that's kind of the best way to explain what you just said there, and why maybe it got loose at a different speed or a different brake ratio or whatever. So, but either way, Kevin King leads them back to the green here, lap number 9. Quick little yellow there, and the fuel mileage answer here. 100 and I was told about 130 laps or so on a tank of fuel. So I think all you have to do tonight is get to that lap 50 mark, and I mean, you go back to the spring race, a couple cars up the track back here, one spinning in the back. That is Joey Jattina and Glenn Campbell back there that have tangled. So second caution out right there. We've already matched the cautions from the last 2 races here in all of 10 laps. But to answer your question on that one, Kev, I mean, you go back to the spring race, we went to lap like 30. Everybody came to pit road and had no problem going the rest of the way on fuel. Tonight, though, I mean, especially if this is a sign, could be a different answer. We'll have to see how this goes. Let's see what brings the yellow out here for a second time.
Yeah, we know that the 81 likes to start in the back.
Oh!
Here it looks like he just got a little aggressive, sticking it in there 3 wide. I don't think Joey Jattina expected him to show the nose, and he got to the quarter panel, just turned him around, light little tap from the 44, but no place for Glenn Campbell to go. The Trans-Service Trucking number 44 ended up against the outside wall over there in turn 2.
There was actually 2 pieces of contact there with Parker. Going into the corner, Seth Foundy in front of him got on the brakes a little early, and he actually punted him going into turn 1. Thankfully, Foundy got it under control, but then that's when Parker, right there's that contact, and then Parker goes in, and it just kind of slides up and, I mean, just nudges the 14. But, obviously, same cars towards the back, going to go to pit road here early in this race.
Yeah, so far we've only had a handful of cars pit. Patrick Colby, Gerald Livingston, Brian Workman, Doy Woods, of course. So we'll see whether or not that plays up. Joe Hudson, Doug Sigmund, Mark Schrader, and Joey Jattina is going to go get a little of that sheet metal bounced out there. Mark Schrader was late coming off pit just before that yellow came out and was trying to catch the field. They were heading off to turn 1 and he was just coming around turn 3. So I think he's one of the ones that benefited from that second caution.
Well, let's clean up some things here really quickly. For those watching on the stream, you're wondering, hey, who's the playoff drivers here in the series? Well, let's show you first things first. I did not do this before the race because I'm a terrible host. I'm kidding. The points going into tonight's race as Kevin King leads by 56 over Justin Fuller, Tyler Dalton, Kevin Brown, Josh Parker. But the spot you need to look at is down there where Patrick Colby is in the 10th position, as you see all of those cars right there within 5 points of each other. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars within 5 points for that 10th position. Only 10 cars will move on to the second round after next week's race at the Phoenix Raceway. Tonight's Richmond, next week's Phoenix. So you can almost call these 2 wildcard races right here when it's all said and done. So obviously a lot of work to be done, a lot of drivers here trying to be in, get into the battle. And technically all 20 cars are still, I shouldn't say all 20, but roughly 10th to 20th. Those 10 cars could swap any position here going into this weekend's race at Richmond. So Randy Oakham's still eligible for that 10th position. All the cars in the playoffs right now still in it to get into that top 10 as we go back racing, as Mike Kelly gets a real good run to the inside, going to try to get around not only Fuller as he turns her sideways.
Wow. You could see the body language he had for trying to get that car straightened back out. Mike Kelly's somebody I think we're going to keep an eye on here tonight. He's also one of those ones that is not afraid to try an alternative strategy to see if he can beat somebody if he doesn't have the track position, and that too looked pretty fast early on as he runs in the 5th position.
Well, if there's going to be a night that I don't see that out of Mike Kelly, it's going to be tonight. And the reason why is you go back to last week's race in Vegas. He tried an alternate strategy, and his words afterwards, he messed himself up, we'll call it. Just subtract messed himself to the word that starts with S, and basically
Eddie Hamlin.
Yeah, he did not make a good decision, as he put it, basically, during that race. And so tonight I could see Mike doing more of a traditional, just go with what you can get type of strategy in this race. But you see everybody 2 by 2 here, taking a deep breath, as Jorgensen right there behind Kevin, putting the pressure on. Or as he might be just doing, is put the hook out there, just hook to his rear bumper.
Yeah, and you know, we can only show so many cars on the screen, but Patrick Colby, holy cow, what a moment he had going into turn 3. He went in there sideways, was almost looked like Toy Woods, but able to gather it up. Everybody else kind of checked up, was able to give him space. He got it collected and drove out of it, but really
EJ.
tense moment about every time they go through the corners here, Chris.
EJ O'Rourke in a little sideways off the turn 4. He's able to save it and hold on there as he rolls down the back straightaway. Another, that's Kevin Stone getting out of shape. I mean, I'm just seeing a lot of cars having issues coming on the exit of the corner. And you got to remember, a lot of these guys are probably staying in 5th gear, which you think of, the gear differential in these cars, from 4th to 5th. The way these cars are sliding around, I'd be staying in 5th gear too. And if I could, I'd try to find 6th gear, but you don't have it.
Yeah, I think, when you have the opportunity to shift a lot of times, especially when the tires are worn and the car doesn't have as much grip, you can't run as hard into the corner. You might drop it down to 4th and use the RPM band to drive the car up off the corner. But I don't see any signs of anybody shifting early on here at Richmond, but we'll see whether that changes as the run goes on.
It's got an old school Richmond feel to it. What I mean by that is the Gen 4 car. Back in the heyday, even the Gen 5, Gen 6 cars, how you had to drive it with the rear wheels all the way through the corner and even onto the straightaways of this track. As I see some smoke up ahead here, as one car got way out of shape, Eric Arnold, but he saves it. He's about parked in the middle of the track here as he tries to get back up to speed and loses numerous positions here. But you almost have to drive this car, without full throttle until, you're on the straightaway literally, and even then it's questionable. Oh, yeah, another car sideways, O'Rourke.
Holy cow, that looked like a sprint car going through there.
These guys are dirt tracking it around here. Which, by the way, this track, when it was first built, guess what? Was a dirt track.
Yeah, this track is a handful for these guys tonight, and especially on throttle coming up off the corner over in turn 2. That seems to be calamity corner so far, although we've seen a couple of close calls on the entry to turn 3. Right now, what the drivers are trying to do is find the line, and a lot of times to open the corner up, you run wide open down to just about the caution light indicator on the entry to turn 1. You sweep in low, use your brake bias to turn the car down, and you want a late apex so that you can straighten the corner out coming off to the straightaway and carry as much speed. Of course, as you drive the car hard down into the corner, you're really putting a lot of abuse on the right front. And the car will start to push. It just won't want to turn for you.
Kev, let me ask you this. How much would you want to put pressure on that right front tonight, knowing how sliding this car is? Wouldn't you want to get that
a lot of
thing heated
drivers
up?
would try to drive the car with a push on entry if the car is loose so that they can ease off and have a pretty good exit. In other words, make the entry make the speed on the entry of the corner and then try and drive off with the egg under the pedal, so to speak.
Mike Kelly under car lavage. This is for 4th. And to continue that little question, it makes you wonder how much you want to try to drive the corner straight. And that's where it goes back to that diamond that we talk about, trying to keep the car as straight as you can, cut the wheel, and then trying to keep the car straight off the corner, so that, obviously, one, you don't spin the real wheels off of it, but two, you kind of take out that slip risk of having her sideways coming off the corner.
But even as we watch these top 5 cars here run in the corner, they're not slot car like. They're stepping out.
Oh, they're
a
ginger.
little loose. They're being a little tender. The 88 swings off of turn 2 over there. You could just see the back end of the car swing out a little bit. I mean, these guys up in front make it look easy, but they're driving hard. And Kevin King won by 12 seconds back in August over Jorgensen Jr. and there were only 5 cars on the lead lap, or 4 cars. And right now, I was expecting Kevin to run away from these guys, but he's got a 2-car length advantage over the 88 at this juncture, and everybody else pretty much now has settled in, Chris, what we expected to see, single file, until you get a run on somebody, then you're going to make the challenge, like we see the 2 on the bottom of the screen there. But this is where you become the driver that races the racetrack, trying to get fast laps every lap, and how can you get to the back bumper and get alongside, make that opportunity to pass the car in front of you?
I think part of that comes down to, Kevin, first things first, is the on the long run side, you're looking at a driver like Kevin who usually will back up the corners until those tires wear and wear and wear, and he pretty much will drive the car on the long run. You see a lot of guys doing that in this series. I think Jorgensen's doing a great job of adapting to it, but obviously Kevin, Pedro Mojica is another one that's good at it. But I think it will be in the longer runs where you'll see those leaders start to stretch out and get out there a little bit. You look at, you mentioned Kevin King and that kind of thing, but I think that's one of the main reasons why it looks like Kevin's not ran away yet, is because I think he's holding back a little bit to save some of those rear tires so that he just is in a rhythm, basically. Because sometimes just being in a rhythm will get you where you need to be in a race. And you get the green flag look here, but it's going to be treacherous, especially the longer and longer we go into this race. You're still going to have potential green flag pit stops here, and this is it's tense. I'm sure these guys are fighting. I'm over here kind of getting nervous for them, because I'm like, man, these guys are out here. Their arms are going to be hurting at the end of this race, especially if we were to hypothetically go green the rest of the way here.
Yeah, and this battle on the screen is the one that we've been keeping an eye on here. Is Kevin DeBrown trying different things, opening up the corner, trying to run high, getting a run down the backstretch. He's doing everything he can to politely get past the 38. He seems like he has a little bit of a faster car as Workman goes to pit road. Now they're side by side across the stripe, and we'll see if Kevin can clear him. Looks like he's going to do it. Kevin the Brown, man, I'll tell you, he's had speed every race here, Chris. He's been one of the faster guys and a threat for this championship. You know, he typically is one of those super hard chargers that puts himself sometimes in harm's way, but he's doubled down here on execution for these last couple races.
Yeah, Brian Warburton, you mentioned on pit road, so I wonder if he's not feeling well or something, but unfortunately there for Brian. Hopefully he's doing okay, and looks like he's actually back on track, so I'm not sure maybe if he had some kind of issue he had to take care of on screen, or I mean it could be anything, but a simple 4-second stop for him. So unless he's got an F1 pit crew, he's probably got some issues or something. I want to go back here to 18th.
I think he saw the leader coming and just ducked out.
That could be it too.
Back and cycle around to the back.
Yeah, that's a good call too. Seth Bounty, Bobby Wetzel, a couple of guys who are moved up here through the field. They're not the biggest movers in the race, but they have moved up. Biggest movers right now are running 12th and 13th here. Josh Parker and Randy Yoakum. Yoakum having a great run in the 13th position. Got some new colors on that car last week, and he's got him running again. I think it's VRS, which is the setups company and stuff. I believe is on that car, and I think they're sponsoring is it the Super Lamo series on Tuesday nights? One of the short track series that you can see in Sim500 is Wesley Donaldson going to pass Tyler Dalton for 7th.
Yeah, that looked like a gentlemanly move as Tyler moved up and just said, go ahead, by. I'll run the high side. This corner, you can move by. I'm holding you up. And, you know, a lot of times it's so distracting to have somebody right in your bumper, put their nose in. And when you see that, as Wesley Donaldson locks up the left brake to keep out of Chad Coleman there. Yeah, now the drivers in the middle of this run are starting to feel like the ones that have saved something or found some speed. They're trying to make their moves and come through. Others are still more conservative and just riding. Go ahead, you can pass me, I'll get you later.
Watching one of the guys who has been a surprise in the playoffs here so far, the 28 of Patrick Colby, who almost wadded it up there on lap 2 earlier in that Alabama car. He is 25th as Seth Foudy just had an issue, I think. He was able to hold on to her as you see him enter the picture here, coming off turn 4. But Colby in the 25th position right now, but sits well inside the top 10 after 3 good runs here so far to start off his playoff series, as he rolls tide through the field right now, or trying to, but right now a little bit of a struggle for a lot of these guys here in this race. Again, the 4th of 5 playoff races after next week's race in Phoenix. We cut the field in half from 20 to 10, and those 10 will race for the championship for those next 5 weeks before we crown an NC811.org Cup Series champion. A lot of people point to that guy who's been leading because he's got a huge number of wins. He's been easily the best driver in the field, and now he's pulled away to 1.5 second lead over Mark Jorgensen, who's got another 1.8 seconds back to Justin Fuller, who's third. Jason Karlovaj, Mike Kelly, your top 5 here as we complete lap number 44 out of 180. A couple of numbers I want to hit you with here real quick, Kev. We have only had at one time ever in a race at Richmond, in the 13 now races, have had more than 10 cautions. And we have never had a race at Richmond, especially in the fall time, have more than 10 lead changes. So usually if you get out front, you've got that air and you can get away there a little bit. As we watch Randy Yoakum on the outside lane make the pass on Scott Simley. We're trying to. Door banging now. Excuse me.
Simley tried to maybe do a little side draft there, got into the door panel and was able to pull it back down as Yoakum left him a lot of room over there in turns 1 and 2. They come to the back straightaway, come together one more time. This pass isn't done yet. Randy running way up high. That's going to give the 12 the advantage off the bottom, but Randy winds it up out of turn number 4. That's a stripe. It's a dead heat. Hard to make hay up there up on that top line, Chris.
Trying to give you some split screen action without split screening, and I was flashing back and forth between 2 battles. Simley and Yoakum here. This was for 12th, and then up here for 3rd, Jason Karlovaj just passed Justin Fuller. So Fuller falls back, and Karlovaj, who I mentioned, I don't know, something told me he was going to have a good run here tonight, and that's why I brought him up, and even said that he had finished 2nd last time we were here. And, well, couldn't have been further from that, but he did finish second at Bristol, as he mentioned earlier this season. So you might ask, Mr. Kevin, to us, well, who's got that track record of good short track racing? And I'm like, well, Kevin, that's a fantastic question here. So let me pull up those numbers here. As I thought I had them pulled up, but apparently I've done screwed that up. But let's take a look at some of these short track numbers here and show you who runs well, especially this season on the Cup Series side of things. And that the main guy you should watch is Kevin King. 2 wins, obviously, in 4 races. The other 2 winners, Justin Fuller, of course, he scored the win earlier this season at the Bristol Motor Speedway, got his revenge win, if you will. And then Brian Macklin, if you remember, won that spring Bristol race. But looking at the average running position and average finish, of course, you got Fuller, you've got King. You could throw Carl Lavage in there. He's only made 1 start this season, but Mark Jorgensen averaging about a 7th place running position throughout the race and finishing around 9th or so. Dory Woods has had good runs. Tyler Dalton, even though he had that bad run here in the August race, 7.5 average running and 8.1. So, I mean, the guys that you would expect up front so far in this race are up front.
Yeah, and an interesting development here for the number 51 running in 4th is Justin Fuller's running a high line here, trying something different. You could see that the drivers have predominantly been down on the bottom. They've laid rubber on the racetrack, and you could see the dark groove on the light worn out asphalt here at Richmond, but the 51 has gone to the high side. Sometimes drivers do this, Chris, because running down the bottom wears the tires a specific way, and changing the diameter of the corner by going to a different groove takes advantage of the tire that you haven't used so far. Justin Fuller might be, I have no idea why he decided to go to the high side here, but right now he's the only driver doing it. As we see a couple drivers pulling up and letting other drivers drive underneath. The preferred line is the bottom though, and looking at Kevin King, he's running 24 164s. It was a 23 169 fastest lap for Mike Kelly, so times have not dropped off, but the difference in his lead, which is now 2.8 seconds, is just how stable the car is. Some describe him like a robot. He never slips, he never slides. He just holds the car steady through the corner, where Jorgensen's car, running second, still making great time. Every once in a while you see it twitch, you see it wiggle, you see it slide. None of that out of Kevin King's car, and that's really the difference that some of these drivers have to figure out. Is King's car looks almost like it's glued to the racetrack.
It's only taken me about 1 lap to see what the difference is between King and the other cars on the track, and it's coming up right here. I want to watch. Oh, somebody throwing some smoke in the 3 and 4 there. Watch his line coming off turn 4 here. He is literally painting, and then comes off so low off the corner. Watch Jorgensen up against the wall. Carl Lavage up against the wall. Fuller up against the wall. Kelly up against the wall. He is about a full groove lower coming off of turn 4 than everybody else.
Yeah, the iRacing service this week ran Homestead, and if I might be making this up, but I think I'm right. He drives that racetrack differently than everybody else I've seen. Everybody else in out wide, in low, out wide, and he drives like he's glued to the yellow line. And he does a similar thing here as he gets into the back of the 21 of EJ O'Rourke.
Excuse me.
Oh, O'Rourke's going to turn.
Oh, no.
Joe Hudson. Hudson's going to go into pit road.
Sorry to laugh
right
about
in
that.
front of your leader. That all took place.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, Mr. Hudson's going to have a conversation with EJ about that one, as they were hustling, trying to make sure that they didn't get lapped, but inadvertent contact sent Joe Hudson packing. I'm sure he's going to add injury to insult there, Chris, as he's going to get a penalty for speeding across the line.
Yeah, that would be an unfortunate deal there. As yeah, there's the contact,
But he didn't hit the end of the pit wall, did he?
He did miss pit wall, which
That's
is
the
impressive.
driving there, making sure that he didn't crack the barrels.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, Hudson goes ahead and I think he's going to go ahead and make the stop here as he's in his pit stall. 4 tires and fuel, it looks like.
Might as well.
Or 2 tires and fuel. So he only had an 11-second stop there. So But Hudson goes ahead and makes his pit stop there, and we're going to do the same thing here real quickly. 60 laps complete, as it's the Kevin King show again up front here, as he has led all the laps here after 61 of 180 on the Captain eSports Network.
This tree is going to look great here.
Did you call 811 to protect your underground utilities?
I can't wait to see these roses come up.
Dig, dig, dig! Wait, we forgot to call 811.
Before you dig, make sure you can. Call 811 to know what's below. It's up to all of us to protect the ones we love.
All right, back we are here at Richmond Raceway. It is the fourth race of 5 in the playoffs of the NC811.org Cup Series here in Sim500, as Kevin King leads, as we look at Tyler Dalton right now in the 9th position, as he's having a great run, but the battle is right there behind him. It is David Comstock, who's got a little blinker issue there going on, as he's going to go around Wesley Donaldson for position. Justin Mons right there also in this battle, along with Scott Simley. I want to remind you, we're still taking, or still helping, I should say, the American Red Cross collect donations for the victims of Hurricane Helene and Hurricane Milton in Florida and in the North Carolina, Tennessee areas. Make sure you help out the American Red Cross. You can donate today to take care of Mons. Just popped the wall off turn 2 pretty hard there. But we appreciate all those who have helped out, and if you get an opportunity to, please do help out those in the American Red Cross for those victims. I actually heard an interesting story today that caught my mind. I have a person I know, won't get into too much detail about it, that is going to need some knee replacement surgery down the road, and they've had to delay the surgical procedure until the beginning of next year, almost the middle of February. And one of the reasons she was told about this was interesting. Not because of like a long list of people needing knee surgeries or anything like that. But Kevin, I share this with you. Do you know that a product that is used for a lot of these kind of surgeries, a product that she will need to intake for the procedure, was actually completely wiped out in North Carolina, and that being saline.
Yeah, I read that the factories down there in North Carolina, some of them made devastating impacts to the medical community, and yeah, that damage down there is going to impact the nation for quite some time. Not only for the people there, but the impacts of what was created in that region. And I did read that.
Yeah, it's scary to think about, but obviously thoughts and prayers that everybody still that were victims of those storms there, and hopefully we don't get any more the rest of the year as far as I'm concerned. But wow, we've been clean and green here since the early laps of this race. 2 quick cautions, otherwise it's been green, and King's been leading. He's got 2.3 seconds now over Mark Jorgensen, who's pulled away pretty good on Jason Karlovaj. And now we watch the battle shape up for the 4th position here is Fuller and Kevin DeBrown. You mentioned Kevin having a good playoff, so is Fuller there in the 2nd position in points, as those two battle for 4th.
How you dynamic we're going to see during this race is drivers who pit for tires and then come screaming through the field. The one driver who pitted lap 56 is Eric Arnold, and he is knifing his way through the field right now, currently 1 lap down, trying to get himself back to Kevin King. And his speed makes him look like a superstar as he tracking down Anthony Calantoni, who's running in the 18th position. But that also is going to play a factor for our leader, as Kevin King sees a pile of cars right out of his windshield here.
So here's the problem with this strategy, and I've been watching these last couple of races. What people have been doing with this is it seems like the tires level off of it, apparently, or I shouldn't say apparently, but eventually is the word I'm looking for in my vocabulary. Right now, you got cars about 1.2 to 1.5, 1.6 seconds or so off their pace from the fastest lap of the race. So, you look at Eric Arnold right now. He pitted at lap 56. We're at lap 71. 15 laps later, he's running 23.88, which is only, about a half second faster than the leader.
Yeah.
So eventually that's going to catch up. And you almost wonder at that point if it's a wasted set of tires. At that point, I say that as Doy Woods comes to pit road at lap 73. This I can see more of a good lap time to come on in here. Lap 73 to 80. And the reason being is with Eric, you're almost splitting the race, the strategy of what... I can't word this right, apparently. I can't talk tonight. But you got 130 laps or so on a run. And Arnold pinned it at lap 56, which is what, about 40%, 30% of a run, 35% of a run. Where Arnold or Doy Woods is coming in right now, roughly at the 50% mark. So why not split that run in half? Now I can see that being more of a strategy move to make, where I feel like you just got a lot to do on those tires if you're Eric Arnold compared to those that have stayed out and trying to run the full maybe 130 laps on a tank of fuel.
Yeah, there's a different perspective of this. If you're running back there mired without track position, it's hard to get around somebody when everybody's kind of running the same speed. So if you're running 18th and you pit, and the caution falls the right way after the lead group goes to pit road, maybe you're running out of good tires, but you end up with track position in that manner. It's not the way you really want to race, but sometimes pitting in that alternative strategy pays off, as these cars right in front of the leaders now know that the leader is coming. They can see it in their marker. He's going to move underneath Kevin Stone. And we see the 9 go around. There's going to be a caution in turn 2. He's going to collect the 77, and the 85 of Schrader is... I'm not sure what happened, but that 9 snapped around really quickly, did a complete 360, able to grab a gear, but not before the yellow is thrown. And Kevin King is going to see the yellow out as he comes across the stripe. We're working caution number 3.
Eric Arnold, Doy Woods are not going to be happy about that. Joe Hudson really going to catch a bad break. As a matter of fact, Joe Hudson took his car, I believe, behind the wall after that contact with the car earlier, the E.J. O'Rourke car. But either way, caution out for the third time here. Robert Friery and Bobby Wetzel, and this is going to bring everybody to pit road, I think, here. And trying to get back here before the pit stops do begin, as we watch what happened in the turn 1 and 2. You see Wetzel was underneath, though. Oh, he almost parks the bus, and then just gets on that apron, and then, I mean, it's like the apron is, I don't know, got oil on it or something. We'll come back to that, but that was very interesting looking.
He got a little help there. The 77 tagged him, and in the contact, it moved him down to the apron. And again, like we saw earlier with Doy Woods, once he got to the apron, no traction whatsoever.
Yeah, it's almost like...
I saw a Mohawk guy there in the shot. There's one guy in the stands with a Mohawk, and we just saw him.
Go figure, right? Pit stops. Kevin King wins the race off easily. Jorgensen going to be second. Karlovaj going to be third, as Kevin Stone's going to get the lucky dog. And pretty much everybody 4 tires and fuel for the most part here. Let's go back to this replay, as you mentioned. And it almost looks like, I don't know, Bobby can be fiery. And when I say this is...
Yeah.
Obviously, it looks like he parks the bus in the middle of the corner here. Now, was he brake checking Friery? Who knows? But he parks the bus right about there, and Friery gets in the back of him. And, of course, you get on this apron here, and it's like hitting ice. And he goes around the 45, nowhere to go. Gets clobbered. Medina does a great job to miss this.
I mean, I could talk about how you would drive that corner. Sometimes you drive it in hard, you park it.
You
in
do
center,
park it,
and
yeah.
you
That's why I'm like,
drive
yeah.
off. Not expecting somebody to run into the back of you, but you use the hard braking, and you also want to make sure that's a teammate to the outside, that you don't clean your teammate out. So he steps on the brake. Maybe the 14 stopped a little quicker than he thought he was going to. And he tapped the brake to make sure he didn't get contact with the 2 cars he's teammates with, and the 77, not anticipating what happened there, got into the back of him.
Yep, no, that's entirely possible. I'm not saying that that's we're not going to rule that out, but I'm just looking at all the possibilities here that could have happened there. But either way, we do know that the caution came out for it, as We're about 10 laps from the halfway
Yeah, the
point.
lap before that, the 9 had slipped over in turn 3 on entry. He was out in front of all these cars and had a poor entry. The 14 slipped underneath him. And it could also have been a little bit of like, oh man, I'm frustrated. As he stepped out at turn 2, car got loose on him. The 14 moved around. The 44 went around him. And then in the next corner, that contact occurred. So, you know, sometimes when you get in one of those situations, Chris, where you're just unsettled and you gave something up and you try to get it back a little bit.
Absolutely possible. So 82 laps in the books. We're going to come to the green this time by with King, Jorgensen, Karlovaj, Fuller, and Kevin DeBrown, your top 5. Fuel mileage is out the window. Everybody can go here from fuel. It's just a matter of can you keep the tires under you for 98 laps. I mean, the one thing...
Easiest race to track the lead all season long.
Pretty much. When it's all said and done. The easiest thing
Kevin's
will be...
led every lap so far.
Exactly.
Can he lead every lap? That's a really interesting question tonight.
Usually when Wortman's on the lead lap with you, it's very hard to do. But here we go. Green flag out, lap 83. And the one thing we do have control of is turning the speakers up. Let's turn it up. Well, we got a lap of it in. Caution back out. 4th time. Doy Woods goes around, but trust me, it wasn't Doy's fault. There's a whole lot of argy-bargy going on back there. Towards the back, and yellow waves again. And let's roll the beautiful bean footage. And I think Nelson had more issues over in turn 3 and 4 after the yellow come out. Let's get you the replay here and roll that beautiful bean footage as Nelson's, oh boy, 3 wide, top side here going to turn 1. Hey, hold on. That Fowley becomes a ping pong, and there goes, yep. A whole lot of things going on there. Unfortunately, brings the caution out, and Kev, you wonder if Seth Fowley's going to want to build or something there because he played a big role in Nelson not wadding up a lot of cars.
Yeah, helpful for Brian Wertman. That's going to get him back to the lead lap as he'll be the lucky dog here.
What a play on his part. He just took the wave around there to go 1 lap down, so he kind of played that cautions breed cautions role. And Doy gets up into the 45, and they go around. Is this a product of the rear brake, you think, here? Because, I mean, he goes in the corner. I don't want to say he went in pretty deep here, but it seems like he gets it about the mid-corner, and the back end just swaps around. Is that a lap grip here? Well, no, he's loose already on entry there, so...
Yeah, he's loose on entry. Just turned it in, and the car never really took a set for him.
Patrick
Went
Colby.
for that long, lazy slide, and probably would have just slid his way through and grabbed the gear if everybody wasn't stacked up on top of him, and that's a byproduct of the opening of the race, where we say everybody's on top of everybody here because it's such a tight quarters on the short track.
Patrick Colby got a little piece of that as his unfortunate run here tonight. I mean, he's 18th, so he's fighting. But I know he can't be in the best of moods here. But I think actually, as I'm thinking this, I'm like, maybe I need to go find Patrick Colby. We have not spoken. No, he's not. Is he in this channel? He is not in this channel. So never mind. I was going to talk to Patrick Colby, but he's in another chat or something right now. But I think he'd be a perfect interview right now because, I mean, he's literally, I mean, the playoffs he has had is remarkable. I mean, the guy sits right now 10th in points. He's the bubble guy. But, I mean, his best races have come these last 3 weeks in the playoffs. And as I peek over here at these tracks, he finished in these races to get himself up there. And, of course, now I'm looking at these finishes. I'm like, wait, I know he's ran better than this. I mean, we were talking about him last week in the top 10 in Vegas. He actually finished 20th. We talked about him in the top 10 at Charlotte. He finished 19th. He did finish 4th at Talladega.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but for some reason, that just don't seem low. I thought he ran better than that for some reason the last 2 weeks. But he's up there 10th in points. And tonight, not having the best of runs.
Yeah, the crew chief for Brian Worthman actually sent a set of tires over the wall. He just changed 4. I wonder if that's the first set. He's got to get on the phone with Morgan Shepherd to see whether or not he should actually expend a set of tires or not.
Are you talking about this season? Or are you
That
talking about
actually
this race?
saves tires in the virtual world. He's always got a stack of tires sitting behind the wall.
Are you talking about the season or in the race? What are we talking about here?
Yeah.
Oh, kidding aside. It's funny. Oh, man. All right, Kevin, going to bring it back to the green. Kevin, we know, has run well all season. Mark Jorgensen, Jason Karlovans, Justin Fuller, Josh Parker, your top 5. Here we go, back at it. Right at the halfway point. Lap number 90.
Yeah, and a new player in the mix. The biggest mover through the field has been the 81 of Josh Parker, up 22 positions, currently sitting in 5th as they run side by side. Karlovas tags the 88 of Jorgensen Jr., gets him sideways. They're stacked on top of each other as a result. And it's going to be tight going here into turn 1. Will they make it through? Is Fuller way up on the high side, giving everybody a lot of room. Jorgensen Jr. powers off of turn 2, gets it sorted out as Parker looks down to the bottom.
Oh, that was tight. And it's still tight. And they're still hitting.
Oh, look at that. He tagged the 81, is still sideways off of turn 4 as we got the 17
Kevin Stone.
around.
Yep, Kevin Stone has gone around over here in the back straightaway. Unrelative to the other spins that just about happened. I mean, they all wrecked right there, but didn't hit anything.
Yeah, I didn't know if they were going to make it through turns 1 and 2, and it ended up being 3 and 4. The trouble spot as Josh Parker got into the side of car to the outside there. Justin Fuller? I lost track of it. But
It was,
that was. Oh, yeah, it was Kevin Brown.
Oh, and Kevin Stone got loose, and then Callan Tony finished him. Backs in that little gap in the inside wall there.
Oh, yeah, you hit that gap, you take a lot of damage a lot of times, especially if you go in the chute.
Parker, I wonder if he locked the left front up a little bit. As he goes in the corner, he misses Karlovans, but then the car goes straight in.
Yeah, here he's got a good run off the corner, and he takes a peek to see whether he can get there or not. Decides against it, locks it up, and as he locked it up, he slid the nose.
What a save by Kevin.
That looked a lot worse for Kevin in the live shot. There, it looked like he just got tapped and sideways, but look at the cars that squirted underneath him. The 12 got by, the 38 got by, the 2 got by, the 13 got by, and now he's got a little track position to make up for the 93.
Wow, I'm surprised iRacing put him way back there because he was not involved in the wreck, which ironically involved another Kevin. Here it is.
Yeah. Damn Kevins.
I need to get that on reel. Yeah, Kevin's trying to catch it. They're trying to stay off Patrick Colby. That shot right there hurt. Alrighty then. So we're at 5 cautions.
And if you're Mr. King, you're just like, okay, come on. I'm in control of this race. Once I get up front and I start my rhythm, I don't want to be interrupted. Every time they put these guys on his back bumper, it's an opportunity for somebody to figure out how to get past that ribgrips.com Camaro.
Now, as I look at this, we do have 4 races in the past. Out of the 13 starts, which counts tonight, we do have 4 races in the past that have had 10-plus cautions. And that goes all the way back to the first night we came out here, and that was the time it was the Monday Night Money Series. Malik Ray won that race. Might know that name pretty well. 18 cautions in that one. Then we had 11 the next time they ran here in 2018. And then they had 14 in 2019. And then all the way 5 years, make that 7 years later, in 2022 in April, they had 10. Other than that, including a caution-free race in April of 2020, there have been less than 10 cautions. So usually it's a cleaner race.
Well, you never know what you're going to get, So let's see what happens. You could drop the green and we could run all the way to the finish, or we could continue to have a, what do you call, my mother used to say, fits and spurts.
Pretty much.
5 cautions right now, and Kevin King still has led every lap, according to my notes.
Yep, 96 laps in. Want to give a shout out to 40 Racewear for, of course, all the hard work that Jim Herrick does. Actually checked in on me this week. I was saying hi, and of course he's working pretty hard right now with his business that creates shoes and gloves and so many more products that you can enjoy. Just go to 40racewear.com if you want to enhance your racing experience online. If it's through iRacing or another sim, check out 40racewear.com. As King and Jorgensen, it's like Groundhog Day. Bring them back to the restart. No Sonny and Cher here. Ned Ryerson. 3 wide to turn 1. Ned?
Ned? Ned!
Bill? Oh, man. As they go down to turn 3 and 4 is Fuller up there on that top side. He's been trying to get that line rolling a little bit, especially with the older tires. But now they're just getting these tires up to temp. For the most part, here's Parker sweeps away the position from Kelly. Chad Coleman there on his outside. You see Kevin Around back in the pictures. He's trying to fight for those positions back he's gotten. Let's give an attaboy right now to the 12th position. Oh, another caution back on track here. Patrick Colby.
Patrick Colby, yeah.
He and Rivera come together.
There was a moment over there for the 8 car. I thought that was going to be the caution as he got sideways up out of turn turn 4 on throttle, but was able to collect it.
Gonna probably get a letter from Colby's PR people here soon. Beck, dude, can you stop talking how good Patrick's doing?
Yeah. I didn't say a word, Patrick. I just want you to know when you watch this back, you didn't get it from me.
It looks like Seth Foudy might have caught some damage in this. Let's see what happened to the driver of the 11 car. Right there at Calantoni and Tyler Dalton there behind. Oh, a little door bang right there. Oh.
Yeah, Patrick just. But there were other cars lock up on entry, and so we've not talked about entry to the corner. You drive down in the corner, and you're anticipating everybody carrying the same speed. There's different braking points on entry. Some drivers brake early and drive off, and other drivers let it roll down into the corner. If you're one that rolls down into the corner, and then you realize the guy in front of you is hard on the binders and you got to step on the brake, if you've got a lot of brake in the car, you're going to possibly go around. And I saw what Patrick was looking at out of his windshield. That started up there with Calantoni. Calantoni's the one that locked up the brake on entry. He didn't want to go 3 wide inside of Foudy, and they bounced off of each other on entry.
I think I go back about 5 seconds before that, Kev. I want to bring this up. I think Calantoni was committed.
They were like, excuse me, pardon me, I'm coming through right here.
I think Calantoni was committed to that top groove. And I don't know if he didn't realize Seth was there or that close to him. And
be able to see him out the right nose of the car there.
You would think. But, hey, how about an attaboy? He might need to PayPal a couple of these guys some money. It's on his car, so I could say that. But how about this wreck avoidance from Jose Medina? Watch this. I mean, he was the car in the outside lane here when all this brake slips in front of him. There's contact there, and then another contact right about.
Where am I going? Where am I going? Oh,
there
he goes again.
Oh,
hold on.
wait for it.
Okay. Hold on. Okay. Yeah. That's a good hands moment right there.
Oh, man. Yeah, so obviously a lot of cars towards the back pitting here. So here's the question, Kev. How much longer do you go here before, if you're Joey Jatino, Wesley Donaldson, Eric Arnold, Charles Van Schaik, these guys back here, 15th on back, you try to flip the field here and try to get some tires on the car, and knowing that, there could be a 25 lap run later in the race that you can get the leaders on the pit road and jump them?
Unfortunately for a lot of these guys, they were just on pit road not that
Right.
long ago.
Right.
Lap 78, some of them, Tyler Dalton pitted lap 92. He's the one driver that you can speak of that exercised what you're talking about. He's got tires that are that much fresher, and he can go a little further into the next run, and maybe that's going to pay off. Certainly not with track position, but
Yeah, 'cause
since lap 78, we've had 3 cautions,
Right.
though. So if you count all the laps under caution, you really haven't put a lot of wear on this set.
a lot of heat cycles in here, and you mentioned the 3 cautions since lap 78. Obviously 25 laps now, with 3 cautions being roughly 12 to 15 laps. So that means you've only run 5 laps of green, 5-6 laps of green the whole time here. So I think that's some valid points from you, one Kevin England. As the green flag comes back out here.
Well, let's see if they could settle in here and get single filed out, or at least gain a little composure. Right now, every driver though knows that on these restarts, it's time to make hay. And the one driver really.
And around goes
there
Joachim.
goes. Yeah, Joachim got tagged and he's around. That's going to be 104 for the next caution here.
Joachim D-died off turn 2. And unfortunately, he got finished off. The wheel spin in these cars is just incredible tonight. There's no rear. It's like there's no forward drive at all in these cars. That's exactly what's missing here.
Yeah, and Randy was right on the back bumper of Justin Mons. And Mons was back a little bit from the number 12 of Scott Simley. From that standpoint, I'm not sure if we talked about drive in hard, drive off hard, and all of that stuff. Just the different timing, maybe set it up so the car behaved differently. And
Is there?
maybe it's the Kyle Busch number 8 on the side.
Oh, geez. Let me
With
ask.
the look that Kyle's had.
Let me ask this: with how aerodynamic this car is now, and how close he's running to Justin Mons here, is this a product of the air potentially hurting Joachim here and causing him to spin? I mean, look how the car just kind of. I mean, he's right on the bumper of Mons as that car gets kind of loose in the rear. That's a lot of dirty air right there.
I think it's just he was a little too aggressive picking up the throttle from the center off. And typically this car has a tendency to get loose if somebody's on that left rear taking air off the spoiler, so to speak, so that you can't get connection with the racetrack on the left rear. And it just looked like a little too hard of the throttle squeeze coming off of turn 2 from the center off. As now you're going to see some takers go to pit road and get on that alternative strategy. And this is also where I like what the 19 did of Tyler Dalton is. Other drivers who pop out here in this caution are going to move Tyler up through the ranks here. He's going to be somewhere in the top 15 now with tires that only ran 1 caution cycle. So it was a good track position move for him.
Talk to a driver who's running in the 9th position right now, Scott Simley. Scott, obviously you got a win here back in 2023, of course, the fall race, and I know that was a completely different animal than what we're watching right now. How much is this car lacking the forward drive right now?
Yeah, it's lacking a lot of everything right now. But I don't know. It seems to come alive, not really for me, but I think everybody just starts to lose it later. Because I had to check up early there for Eric Arnold, whatever was going on, and I lost like 10 spots, but I was able to get them all back. But I don't know. We need to get some green flag laps in. I know that.
Obviously, you're getting a little bit of a yellow fever here during this part of the run. You had that long green flag run. Is it one of those, does the car get any better as it goes, or is it a matter of just how you drive the car, trying to make it as favorable as possible to you?
You just can't piss off the tires at all in this thing, because then it's bad for a few laps after that.
Has there been any way to get the right front under it to potentially tighten her up?
No, I mean, for me, it was the car drove a lot the same. I mean, it slowly gets looser and looser, but there that whatever we ran 75, 80 laps, it started to get more and more loose for me as we went, closer to that 80 lap mark. But otherwise, it was pretty much the same.
Well, inside joke here. If you cause a wreck within 10 laps, you get kicked out of the server. Just FYI. Attaboy. Good job. Good job so far. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thanks, buddy.
Absolutely. As Scott Simley, we'll get him back to his channel here as they go back green. There he is. As 109, the green flag lap, here we go. That joke was, of course, so as we're 3 wide in a turn 1 here. Oh, boy, and Jorgensen is sideways in front of Fuller.
Oh, this is going to bring a
Big
caution
wreck.
with a lot of cars being involved.
Not as big as it could have been. 3 cars. Bentley Glazier gets a piece of it. And that one puts a hit on one of the playoff drivers, Justin Fuller. We'll have to see if Glazier just went too deep into the corner or if he got helped.
I'll tell you, the contact between these cars, this is one of those races where just about everybody's got incident points. Even under caution there, we saw Patrick Colby trying to catch the field.
Oh, no.
And have a moment with Randy Oakham, tagged him over in turn number 2, sent him sideways, and that was under caution.
Oh, boy. You know it's not a good red night when that happens. So going into turn 1, Parker gets a good run in. Yeah, we'll have to get a different vantage point of that. But, yeah, Fuller locks it up, and unfortunately Glazier's sideways and tail whips into him. Good job by Comstock to stop the car. Let's
he nicked the wall there as he stomped on the brakes and slid up and tagged it.
So the real quickly as we're watching this replay, the joke between Simul and I is we all, and Brian Wortman included here, started racing back in the heyday for a gentleman, and we used to run what were called mystery races. And when races, he just gets loose under braking, and then obviously the 2 gets in the back of the 51. And then he comes shoving in there. Good grief. 3 or 4 cars come in there sideways. We had, it would get to these races would be just wreck fest. And we came up with a rule that said that if you, after a while, if you created a caution in 10 laps or less into a run, you automatically got kicked out of the server. So that was the inside joke between Simile and I. So Jorgensen's on pit road now. Going to get some potential damage fixed. Doug Sigmund.
Yeah, that looked like maybe even I would say Justin Fuller got into the back of the 88. The 88 wasn't intending to get loose, and then it was on from there.
Did you see
Fuller,
contact?
Unfortunately, yeah, there was contact just on the entry of the corner.
Let me look again here because I thought I didn't see it, but then again, I was sharing story time at the moment. So let's see. Let's see. Yeah, he gives him a push down here to turn 1. What's wrong with that?
There's the nick right there.
He almost
just
got
a little bump on entry.
You know what? Did his car get a little sideways before Fuller got him? Look real closely here.
He's
right there.
In.
It looks like he's loose right there.
Yeah. That's a good catch right there. Good camera.
And then obviously Fuller sends
just
him.
Carrying the speed to the back bumper. Not much you could do with the tag to the 51 from the 2.
Did that.
The 23 tagged. Yeah, there's a bumper car going on in there. All the good strategy for Kevin King. One of the things that has helped him all season long is incident-wise. He's been out in front of all of this all season long here.
I mean, if I'm Kevin, I'm telling the pit crew, just hang it up. I mean, you're 65 laps to go now, and I don't.
Lead, there's the tedious moment for Kevin King, right? If he pits at any given point, he's going to go back in the stack.
Right, and I almost don't want to go back there unless I have
see
to.
What's going on? It's like a blender in the middle.
If I'm going to go back to that part of the pack, it's going to be because I failed to pit and you guys finally got me on tires. And then at that point, I'll choose to pit. I'm not going to go.
We saw him hold tires in a recent race, and it did not pay dividends, and they all drove around him. So he's in a kind of
Charlotte. Yep, good call.
Odd position, right?
Hey, sometimes that's what stinks about being a leader. As King leads them off, Carlavage now second, Josh Parker third, and 3 wide again into turn 1.
Come on, turn 1. Come on. Here we go. Turn 2. Backstretch.
4 wide.
We made it.
Hey, we were 5 wide in a race here Thursday night. I mean, I've seen it all here. It's a Richmond week, by the way. It's Richmond Wednesday night in the other league race I have this week. So I've
smoke off the 21 of EJ O'Rourke as he locked up the left front on entry to turn 3, but able to gather it up. That car's playing blinky.
Yeah, you need some blinker fluid. Oh, by the way, O'Rourke's 12th after being lapped early in this race. As another car goes around in the back. As Schrader, no caution yet. Kevin Stone goes around, and there's a caution.
Yes. That's where Kevin Stone was earlier in the race.
Kevin King said, let me go ahead and get the fastest lap out of the way. 22:93 that time by.
Wow. That tells you whether you need tires or not, right? You're on lap 118 and you're racking the fastest lap.
Caution number, yeah.
Yeah, that's 17. Know what's below. Call before you dig. He just keeps digging into that inside barrier over there.
Hey, sometimes
stone meets concrete.
When you have help, sometimes you don't have control what's below. As a couple cars coming to pit road here, Wesley Donaldson, Joey Jatina, Tyler Dalton, Callan Tony. Here comes some of the guys mid-pack. This is, I mean, they're maybe thinking, hey, let's turn it here. And they think maybe eventually that run of like 30 laps, 40 laps comes, and then you're trying to flip it.
So it can't be a fuel call. So is it this last set of tires and they decided lap 119 is the perfect time to run it out to 180?
They should still have 2 sets of tires left going into the stop.
Yeah, but I'm just saying is that Tyler Dalton, for example, was one of the drivers that pitted already. So for him to come back, it'd take 4 tires.
Oh, that might be
At 118, I'm wondering if he's thinking, this is it, I'm done.
That would be an interesting call. If that's the case, that's interesting. Let's see what happened to Schrader and Stone. Schrader was on the outside of Fuller here. As they go down to turn 1. And Fuller gets clear, and he's got Patrick Colby there behind him. As now Fuller's on pit road, I think. Schrader goes around, and then Kevin Stone just...
he had contact with the 04 of Doug Sigmund.
Okay.
And that he careened off, and that's what caused that lazy slide down. Well, I won't say lazy because he popped it pretty well. You could see the debris flying.
He hit about 10 feet away from what he lasted the wall.
Yeah. The skid marks from his last slide into the gap.
All right, 60 laps to go. Let's get another break in real quick, come back, and hopefully get you more racing here from Richmond Raceway. It is Sim500 on the Captain eSports Network.
When do you plan on putting in that new fence we've been talking about since last summer?
I guess I could start tomorrow.
Protect the ones you love and protect your buried utilities by contacting 811 before you dig, either by phone, the web, or the NC811 app. Know what's below. Before you dig, visit nc811.org to learn more.
All right, back we are here at Richmond Raceway as we are 2/3 of the way in. And under caution, unfortunately, I've had a little bit of a rain of cautions here in these last 50 laps or so. After seeing 2 cautions early, went green for roughly 50 laps. And then from that point on, we have had a good portion of yellow fever. Need to take some Tylenol or something here to get rid of that fever. Oh boy.
Has been hanging tough in that top 3. The 81 after some contact earlier, but the 2 of Mike Kelly's been there all race. Chad Coleman's been there all race. The 93 of Kevin DeBrown's recovered to come to 6 here for this restart. They've had fast cars all night long as King changes up the start position. The outside lane did not go as
Mons.
well. It's going to be 3 wide with Mons down on the bottom. Contact for the 38. He's
Oh, here we
sideways.
go
He's
again.
sideways. And they all drive out of it.
Look, so far. They're still
there's
up.
no
There
way
they
this
go.
is gonna
Wesley
work. There you
Donaldson,
go.
Mark Jorgensen.
It just was going to pinball back to the middle of the field, and unfortunately, you could just see it cascading back to the 91 of Wesley Donaldson, who was one of the first one to go around.
Bobby Wetzel involved, amongst others. And aggression, I think, is playing a role now. I think the drivers are getting to the point where they're seeing that the cautions are here. And they're like, we have to get what we can get right now. And unfortunately, it is causing more cautions. It's one of those where sometimes we put our helmets on and we don't become smart and not realize that the moves we're making are creating the cautions. I mean, they're 4.
You know, that started with the 41 opting to go 3 wide on the restart. And from all signs, if you're sitting in the grandstand, the 41 hugged the yellow line, never touched anything.
Right.
The 38 saw him down there, got nervous, missed his entry, turned sideways. He tagged the 2, and the 2 of them collected, and then they drove out of it. They showed the wherewithal and talent to get themselves out of it, but unfortunately the lockup of the brakes on exit of the corner stacked everybody else up, and as you see,
Ooh, Joey gets into Wesley.
WBD diecast clunk, clunk, clunk.
And Wesley Donaldson, Bentley Glazier. I'm counting at least 10 cars in this, which... need I dare go find that video? I think I might still have it. The Xfinity wreck earlier this season here that had a track blocker pretty much over in turn 3 on the final lap that had cars go from 25th to 4th. Yeah, I mean, there's nowhere to go.
And that's really just good hard
Jorgensen with
racing. You would
damage.
think it would be 5 to go, but well, what are you going to do? That's short track racing for you. Sometimes it happens.
Yep. Jorgensen involved in it also, so he's gone behind the wall. Tons of cars on pit road now, from Wortman to Fuller to Schrader, Jatina, Medina. That rhymed. Wetzel.
That was good.
And others.
Sounds like a rap lyric.
You know we've gone off kilter if we're talking rap lyrics.
And the driver that drove around all those cars in that pile over there on the backstretch, Tyler Dalton, just cut left, went down, found a clear piece of racetrack down on the apron, and squirted underneath before the melee really took place. But the one that took the big hit, and I don't think from a damage standpoint you're going to lose that much damage, but Jorgensen had to tow. And so that 88, who was one of the top drivers all night, he did what we talked about from the Kevin King dilemma. Does King at some point get himself back into the mix and suffer what Jorgensen had? He's sitting down there on pit road getting damage fixed, and unfortunately for him, the 88 is going to be multiple laps down. So what could have been a potential race winning opportunity is going to go the wayside, and championship implications here, Chris, are pretty big.
Yeah, there's a lot of cars involved, a lot of damaged cars. And obviously, we got to see where everything kind of plays out here, especially with Fuller's car being damaged, as he's right there in second. But the people we need to watch are the ones down in that bottom half, down there where you saw, drivers like the 28 of Patrick Colby amongst those drivers down in that area. Trying to think of some other names that were down that way. Yeah, this is that time of the race where you got to be very careful here.
We also have some fast cars with tires that are 45 laps newer than the leaders here. The Kevin King, Carl Lavage car, the Parker car, Mons, the Brown, O'Rourke, and others, all pitted on lap 78. Back to Scott Simley
caution.
running 7th as we got a parking lot one more time out on the backstretch.
Yep, Anthony Calantoni involved in this one. Forgive me, I caught myself distracted there looking for something. I'm looking for a video. As Calantoni comes to pit road. As you mentioned, I think Mike Kelly might have got some damage in that. So did Patrick Colby. Ironically, I mentioned his name again. We'll show you the point standings here in just a moment. But yeah, a few cars. Yeah, Kelly got turned. Colby, Colby, unfortunately, I think he said everything but a roll tide on somebody. Let's see.
Yeah, Kelly, his car broke loose on throttle coming up out of the corner. Just shook itself loose. Watch, it steps out and it hangs a hard right here. Boom. That is probably the most unexpected moment for Mike Kelly of the season.
Tina involved.
Again, poor Joey, he just can't get a break.
How much is that as potentially cold air tires for the guys who just pitted and put tires on?
That's possible. It's a very strange behavior, though. Typically, when the car comes off and it steps out on you, it slides. That snap and turn right is not something you're really anticipating. It happens on occasion, but when it does, it always catches you by surprise.
Curious to know.
It's got wheel in it. Wheel left. Car comes loose, and then boom. He didn't have a moment to catch it there.
What gear number is he in?
Hello. What's that?
What gear number was he in? He was in the
I
fourth
wasn't
gear.
watching. Did he
He was in
shift?
fourth gear
That's
the
an
whole
interesting
way into
question.
turn one. He was in fourth gear all through that corner. Now, I'm not saying that's the cause of that, but obviously fourth gear, higher revs going out of that corner, wheel spins even more. Now, again, that's the only time we've watched him go through that corner. So, in fairness to Mike, he might have been fourth gear every caution there or green flag. So, just looking at that, and that's the first thing I noticed.
First to come in fourth gear out of there, and then you shift on the back straightaway in that first.
Okay,
lap.
and that would make sense. But obviously, the wheel spin in that situation becomes pretty crazy. But Mike knows what he's doing, so I'm not going to question that either.
What a crazy race! I would not have guessed with the early onset. We ran from some 60 laps.
Yeah.
It felt like in the beginning green, and then all of a sudden from lap 84 on to lap 129, we're working here. We've had a rash of about 7 cautions.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate situation there. But
And going back to that commentary that we had a little bit earlier about how many laps fresher everybody's tires are. Yeah, you could say Kevin King, Carl Lavage, Parker, Mons, O'Rourke, DeBrown, Simley, they all pitted lap 78 last time, taking service and getting 4 fresh tires. But we've had 11 cautions for 51 laps, and most of them, the 51 laps, have occurred after lap 84 caution or 78 caution. So from that perspective, well, you could say that chances are there's not a lot of wear and tear on them, and the track position is more valuable than four tires. But we'll see as this race plays on at some point. I think all of those drivers would surely like to have fresh tires.
as we come to the green flag this time by at 134 laps complete, and I'm going to go ahead and put this out there. It looks like everybody is lucky. I cannot find the video, unless this is it right here. I cannot find the video of the wreck. I was going to surprise everybody and show everybody the Xfinity wreck I had on video, but
Up all night to get lucky.
Hey, look, that
As the
was
two of Mike Kelly is
impressive.
in the position Jorgensen was in earlier, Jorgensen Jr. got in the back of the field and then found trouble over and over again. And cars wiggling down there on the front straightaway. Tyler Dalton taking evasive action as we got one car sideways. EJ O'Rourke gathered it up. Now will we see everybody kind of get in line? They do. Will they make it to turn 3? Pretty wide on entry. That generally doesn't work, but we'll see if they have it. Yep, they came okay off of turn 4.
We had Kevin Brown sideways. We had EJ O'Rourke sideways. We had a couple cars sideways. And need I say,
this looks more like what we saw in practice, where these drivers really had a handful.
need I say we had decorum?
One car
Oh,
sideways.
Randy Oakham.
Yeah, is he going to save it?
Doink.
He is.
Tail whips the wall, get it up to speed. He's good. We're green. I was a little worried he'd be too slow in the back and he'd throw the yellow, but he kept it going.
Yeah, we saw David Comstock. I think that's the car.
There's more
I saw
smoke. Oh,
loose.
is that from Yoakum maybe? As Do we just have a... Okay, I think Van Schaik just literally locked the brakes up and kept himself from spinning.
Yeah, here's where I hope the driver's just like, okay, let's take a deep breath. Let's get settled in. Let's go. We're at lap 138. There's still a good 40-something laps of racing to go.
Yeah,
and they've single filed out to about the 10th position. First battle on the racetrack. You got the 31 of Eric Arnold to the outside of Nelson Rivera. They're competing for that 10th position. Rivera down on the bottom.
Yeah, last time by, he and Rivera went up the track there in turn 1. But I look at it like this. If Kevin England can sing some Daft Punk, these guys can go to green the rest of the way. I'm just saying.
Yeah. And so Donaldson locks up the left front on entry to turn 3 to keep off of Eric Arnold to that high side. Just trying to keep his track position and momentum going there.
Kevin DeBrown inside of Mons for 4th. And
it didn't go well, did it?
Look who's in 7th.
Yeah.
Doy Woods has spun like 3 different
Where
times.
Did he come from,
he's
right?
up there at 7th all of a sudden.
I'll tell you, he was fired up the other week when we talked to him, and he's the kind of guy that he just has a blast. I don't know, good, bad, or indifferent, he could get fired up, but when he has a good race, boy, he has a lot of fun.
I should get him to go over one of them. Should get him to go on a rant about apartment pricing. We went by an apartment, just random story here. Went by an apartment complex earlier today, just looking. Saw it was getting built. We were like, hey, let's look at the price stuff. 1 bedroom, $1,400 a month. I'm like, I just kept going
That's
driving.
pretty cheap here.
Well, yeah, for you. I mean, some
Like
areas that is
marketplace.
cheap, but I'm like $1,400.
You couldn't rent a garage here for that.
Jersey,
In New
living,
Jersey.
Jersey living right there, boys. That's a fair point.
Maybe a chicken
Touche.
coop converted to an apartment.
Touche on that one. Now,
This battle for 5th will not give up. In the 93, Kevin DeBrown has it. The 41 is to the high side as the top 4 are single filed out, and Kevin is just trying to do everything he can to clear Justin Mons. Mons carries some momentum off the corner and drives it deep in on the high side. And unfortunately for the 93, he can't swing up and use all the racetrack on the exit. That slows his car down and allows the 41 to draw alongside. So the two of them are going to continue to run door to door.
The track is...
Sooner or later, one of them will get the advantage, Chris, and be able to squeak by as Doy Woods is looking at the two of them going, can you please settle this? I have a fast car behind you.
Yeah, the track is so slick, Kevin can't throw a slider, or else he slides himself, which would not be a good thing. But, yeah, Kevin DeBrown trying to make his move here for the 5th position. Scott Simley in front of them in 4th. And I couldn't help but just have this pop into my head. Did you drop a little nugget on us last week, Kevin, towards the end of the broadcast, that Kevin King had led, 46% of the laps this season?
Yeah.
And I think that number went up.
Yeah, I think so too.
Oh, Doy Woods around.
Oh, Doy Woods got turned.
And backs into the wall.
Oh, shorten it up.
I think he actually turned himself there. And caution is out. And maybe Dory heard my question about apartment living and spun it out. Oh, man.
Gosh. That's a shame.
Yeah, tough break there for Doy. Yeah, come to think about it, some areas $1,400 is kind of cheap, but when you're paying, as we watch the replay here, I'm paying $1,000 right now in a similar sized apartment, put it like that. Yeah, he's loose, and then finally right in front of Chad. Ooh, Wesley on the back of Comstock, it looks like. Oh, look at this. Here's your flip. Leaders on pit road. Josh Parker stays out. Tyler Dalton stays out. How long was that run? About 5 laps, 6 laps?
If I'm the leaders, this is the time frame, right? You're at that point where you really do want to.
I'm surprised Kevin pitted here.
Buckle on the last set, and I think that's a good move on his part.
I will never question what somebody like Kevin or guys who have been in the Pro Series. You'll never hear me question them, but I'll speak my opinion. If I'm Kevin or Jason, those guys, I probably would have stayed out, and that's why I've only won 14 races in iRacing in 12 years. Anyways. It's just pointing it out.
Yeah, I think at some point they have to bite the bullet and make it happen, and I'm pretty confident that's what we're going to see here. Is the 81 of Josh Parker will inherit the lead here for the first time on lap 146.
And look at the 5th position, by the way. Patrick Colby is up here. Nelson Rivera in 3rd. Jose Medina, who missed that wreck by a skosh, he is 8th.
That's the beauty of a short track strategy, right? Is that never give up. Just keep plugging away. Track position changes, fortunes change, mishaps give you track position, and but I want to go back to what we talked about earlier, and we saw Tyler Dalton pit, and then we saw him pit again. And I think he saw the opportunity to go and get fresh tires and get further along and still be able to keep the track position. When he knows that the top 7, 8 didn't pit, he's banking on this moment that some of them would pit and that there would be enough buffer of cars behind him that he's going to have fresh enough tires to try and get himself a win.
Well, why don't
He's at 118 pit. And all of these drivers pitted on 147, but with all the cautions, he's only probably got about 8 to 10 laps of tire wear on the car and a ton of track position.
Why don't we ask him? As Tyler Dalton joins us here in chat. Tyler, obviously 2nd position. Obviously, Kevin was just talking about what you've done so far. You pitted about mid-race there, and wasn't sure if you took tires or not at that, but then you came back to pit road to get on cycle with these guys. And now you've kind of flipped the track position here a little bit. And the question, obviously, is have you run enough green flag laps for these tires to play a role in holding back these guys that just pitted?
I hope not. When I took tires and tried to come through the field, it seemed like they didn't really matter. So figured we had a lot of cautions on that last run. So hopefully these tires will hold on. I don't think I have a very good car, very good pace tonight. So if I can hang on for a top 10, it'll be a win.
There you go, man. Well, hey, you're going green, so we'll leave you alone. Appreciate the insight there.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Tyler Dalton holding on, basically, which is, I think a lot of cars have been doing that tonight. I think we've been actually holding on. I've almost slipped on the tile floor here up in the press box 10 times. It's so slick. All right, coming to
isn't Joey Jattina running in the 5th position or 6th position?
It is Joey running 6. Look at that green flag as Parker leads him.
Colby gets sideways.
Uh-oh.
Oh
boy.
Go here into turn. Oh, this is going to be complicated.
Easy.
I won't sing Apparel.
Easy does it. Thank you. Easy does it.
Evan's going to make it 4 wide.
Oh
my gosh.
Oh, there goes Colby into Van Schaik. Everybody slows up.
Fix it. My gosh. I don't know how to describe what happened over there in turn 3. There were like 4 cars that wrecked, and every one of them grabbed a gear and drove out of it. And King went to the bottom, almost to the apron, and just drove around everybody. Yes.
Oh, Medina's wrecking. Oh, he gets clobbered by somebody. Somebody goes through him as the caution comes out again. As the PayPal car goes for a spin. I don't know who went through him.
That was just absurd what happened over there.
Oh, and now Mike Kelly spun over here in turn 4 with Mark Schrader.
Oh, look. What the heck is going on?
Did somebody did rain here and they not clean the track off? What's the deal here? Oh my gosh. Let's break this one all down. And Medino's running right behind Kevin. And he's
the 45 came across a racetrack.
He gets loose and he clobbers Coleman. Goes through Bentley Glazier. I mean, Jose Medina did a tour of the world basically right there on the back straightaway. And unfortunately, Chad Coleman might have just went from a cup car to a legend over in turn 2. The way he got hit in that side of the car, it shrunk that thing all up.
Yeah, the 28 got into the back of the 45, who slid across and caught the 2. I was trying to figure out what happened over there to have those 2 cars in there.
There's Medina way down here at the bottom, comes back up, clobbers Coleman. Coleman saves it. You know, that car's got to be broken. Maybe.
Did he get hit on the wheel?
Oh, yeah, that car's broken.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
the
was
right rear.
driving almost
Yeah, that
like
thing's
it has
crabbing.
the
Look at
right
that.
rear in it.
That car's broken.
Oh,
and
my
then
gosh.
back there's the Colby Schrader wreck. Let's see this again.
Yeah, Colby went in and tagged the back of the 45, and he did the lazy slide.
Was there something here that we did not see? Let's see. Well, there's contact there between the 45 and 28, turn 1.
You hear the incident occurs.
I mean, did Colby...
28 goes to take evasive action and slides up.
He goes up there and finds him. Oh.
Uh-huh.
And then Mike Kelly becomes an innocent bystander.
I need to find a quarter panel. That almost looked like a right turn, Clyde. You ever see the movie Every Which Way But Loose?
Usually, Red Bulls are handed out by these people as they try to advertise their drinks out. I don't think he's going to get one anytime soon.
Yeah. Well,
let's look at the positives here.
Boys.
Look at the positives here. We're at, you're keeping count. What caution we at? I thought he was keeping count. He's run out of paper.
13.
13. We're still 5 off the record.
Yeah.
Positives.
13.
Next week, Phoenix Raceway.
Very similar racetrack.
Yeah.
And it's weird. This track has a little bit of banking where Phoenix is a little slower and flatter. But yet, if you come down the backstretch at Phoenix and turn in, is very similar to the backstretch here, turn in to the corner.
It's very similar track, and you are right, the banking is different, but it is not much difference. I mean, turn 1 or turn 3 and 4 now at Phoenix is actually 1 degree shorter than Richmond, where the sweeping 1 and 2 is 9 degrees of banking, so which is 3 less. So yeah, very similar track. So as you said, but I mean, they couldn't drive any different. I mean, these cars are going to be.
It's a different arc into the corners, but yet, for me, if I were to take 2 tracks and say which ones are closest, I would put Phoenix and Richmond together as the closest in the way that you drive them.
I won't disagree.
You're really trying to get down into the corner and drive off of the corner.
As Parker leads them back to the green, Wesley Donaldson there inside with Tyler Dalton as King's going to send it topside here on Rivera. As he's going to make the pass, Joey Zatina up to the 7th position. And Yoakum is going to D-I-Do it again. This is not Groundhog Day, but the caution is out. As the 8 goes around yet again.
The good news is, as we do this, we're burning off the laps, and given 160, we're now to what is essentially like a Saturday night short track event, main event, 20-lap feature.
Do appreciate the
one
viewers. Good.
One of the tracks, of course, I grew up in Flemington, New Jersey, and they used to have 420s. You want to talk about, because the typical Saturday night race would be 30 laps.
You know what I want to ask you?
Something about the drivers when they made it 20 laps and they would run 4 of them on a given night. Oh my gosh, what an amazing race. So these drivers know you can't leave anything on the table at this point. You're going to be just hammered down for these final 20.
Yoakum got in the door of Fuller, and from there had to go try to catch it. D-Didoed a couple times, and you know the those gamers and racers that are on here watching in chat and will watch this video on demand and stuff like that down the road, they're going to hear you say 420s at Flemington, and they're all going to get their hopes up.
Oh my gosh.
Just throwing it out there to you.
I would vote for Flemington being the racetrack that they bring back into this sim. They used to have it in NASCAR 2003.
Yeah, it was there. I do remember, yeah.
But one condition, it has to be dirt.
Ooh.
Has to be dirt. I don't want to see Plosky in a Buckley car and Billy Osmond in the Porsche 81. Gerald Chamberlain in the Everett 76. The era of the 70s was
he's
just
aging
one of
us,
the
boys.
most amazing.
He's aging us.
I'm I'm showing my age. I am.
Which, speaking of, how about the? I don't know if you got a chance. Did you catch the mods there at North Wilkesboro? Was it Saturday night with Bonsignor becoming a 4-time champion in the series?
I saw Bonsignor and I saw the heartbreak for the championship of. His name's escaping me.
I know who you're thinking of. Not
retired
Bert. Not Bert Myers, right?
No, but it's it's a frustration when drivers race the whole season and one race goes south for them and everything that they worked for goes up in smoke. That has got to be one of the most heartbreaking moments in motorsports, to know that you're in the championship run and you get to the final race and you don't get to race it on your terms.
Right. I look at there's a buddy of mine, he's probably not watching there, but Telder, who's a big short track guy. And of course, there was a league I used to broadcast that ran short tracks and stuff here. And there were some brothers. We'll just leave it at that. You probably could figure it out breaking down the names. Brothers that ran over in this series, and they wrecked a lot. And it's kind of funny that I turn on Saturday night and I go through social media, and the first caution of the night, I see one of those names wrecked, and I'm just like, it just never changes, no matter what, if it's real life or in sim. But we'll just leave it at that. Last name starts with a C. There's the farthest I'm going with it. So, anyways, Josh Parker leads. Tyler Dalton, Wesley Donaldson, Kevin King, and Nelson Rivera, your top 5. Just something I just doesn't seem to stop.
So, having been in races with extracurricular activity like this, right now, what you're trying to do is just be hyper vigilant about the space around you, right, left, front, center, back. Try to keep your car straight and make sure that you do the best you can.
Yeah, know what's behind you. In this case, I know we joke sometimes. Know what's
Know
below.
what's below.
No, right. Know what's behind you. EJ O'Rourke is down on the apron trying to make passes on the restart. Gets up in the Mons, up in the Comstock. Well, what'd you just say about that?
Yeah, well, EJ O'Rourke, he's the antithesis of what we just talked about. He's just go on every drop of the green flag. But Silk
oh
is the one I
my!
was thinking of.
Jatina into the wall. Karlovage gets turned almost.
We see the.
Oh, now they're
51
still
going
wrecking.
around.
EJ goes around
Colby's
front
down
straight
through the
away.
grass.
Yep.
13 is sideways. Whoom.
There goes my camera.
Wow.
I mean, this is just turned into e-nightmare, unfortunately.
That was a good old do-si-do over there. Ron Silk was the name I was thinking of.
Yes. 41 car, right?
51.
51, Ron Silk.
Love to see Matt Hirschman do as well as he did. He finished second in that race. And he's a racer's racer, that guy.
He and his brother, both of them, Tony and Matt, all them racers. That whole family. And that's not the family I was talking about. Oh, Jatina locked them up. Got into the 60 at Karlovage. And unfortunately, 25.
Just an amazing race, and he's one of those drivers that when he went to the back didn't escape the melee.
I did not see what the Comstock issue was. Let's go show the replay of the Jatina wreck into the... Yeah, there's EJ driving it down to Norfolk to make the corner. He was almost at Langley trying to turn. Down the back straightaway here, you're going to see Jatina lock him up in front of this, and then the contact, those guys go to the wall, and then EJ gets in the Comstock, and that could have been a lot worse.
Did you see Colby, your buddy, down through the grass?
He went through the grass this time.
He went right through the Toyota logo.
So King did get back. He's up to third here. Tyler Dalton the fourth. Seth Foudy fifth. You would wonder, does Josh Parker take the outside lane now? So
this is what I wonder is wandering around in Parker. Does he like these cautions?
He has to right now because you're not pitting the rest of this race.
I mean, you're on worn tires and you don't have to race for it at this point. If he can get to one to go and hold them off for one lap, I'll take that win all day long from a strategy standpoint.
Look at the top. Let's look at the points here. See, Patrick Colby 10th in points. He currently runs in 17th. Justin Mons 11th in points, currently 12th. Anthony Calantoni 12th in points. He is off the track in 26th. Chad Coleman, 13th in points. He is off the track in 22nd. Scott Simley, 14th in points. He is 10th. Bobby Wetzel is 23rd. As I go through all the guys that are right there on top of 10th. Robert Friery, 32nd. Eric Arnold. Eric is somewhere in here. There he is, 25th. So a lot of guys here having a rough run. So this is where Nelson Rivera running in 6th right now, down here at the bottom of the screen. EJ O'Rourke, Randy Yoakum, who is 15th right now. Yeah, he's might have been involved in a few spins, but he's trying to gain every point he can to get up in there close to the top 10 in points. Tonight's that night when you have the best running guy out of all those names I just mentioned in 6th with Rivera, but near the top 10, Scott Simley in the 10th position. You have to take advantage of the mishaps right now. I know it sounds weird with everybody wadding them up. It seems like here these last 100 laps basically or so, but you have to get what you can get in a situation.
Yeah, and as odd as this race has been, you want to get your trouble out of the way early. I mean, all these drivers up front, we saw Tyler Dalton have his trouble at 91. The only car I think that is clean up there is the 29 of Kevin King. He's not hit anything here tonight, but I think I looked through the entire field and remember calling every single driver. Yep, I did it. I have faith that Kevin will hold the torch.
Parker takes the outside line as predicted as we go green. Wesley Donaldson on the inside lane as Dalton gets a good start high side. As who's that top side over there? Justin Mons.
Yeah, and we're inside 10 to go here, so it's go time. These drivers are going to be hammered down. They're not going to worry about anything as the 93 gets nervous over there, and everybody stacks up behind them. They're 3 and 4 wide going in.
Nelson.
22 car is sideways. The 60 goes sideways across the track. This is going to collect a lot of drivers as the 81 of Josh Parker crashes on entry to turn 1.
No, he did not.
Oh, absolutely destroyed it.
Oh, no
Your
way.
leader plowed down the barrier in turn 1. I have no idea what happened there.
Oh, my gosh. This is
incredible. What just happened?
The stuff has hit the fan here.
It was under yellow too, and the car just broke loose and it did that snap to the right, and he just destroyed the front end of the car. And with the tow, he's going to give up the track position.
That looks like contact between the 60, the 22, and the 19. I saw a red.
Oh my gosh!
Out of the corner of my eye, I saw, and this is, I'm looking from the front straightaway here in this camera. Somebody up front in a red car got up in the outside wall too, and it wasn't the Parker car, I don't think, because this one just edged it. Let's see. So there's the contact back towards the back. And down the 1 and 2, Parker goes in. Yeah, he just spins. And then, oh, it's Mike Kelly missing the 81 car. That's what it is. Okay. So let's get the Parker wreck now.
Yeah, this is a mystery. This is one of those ones that no one is going to be able to explain. You're under caution. Here, caution comes out as he's coming across the stripe. He's still wide open, going down into turn 1. Car turns down, gets loose.
Oh!
Boom!
You know what?
Massive hit. You could see the indicator going yellow on the outside wall.
When did the caution come out? It's a $1 million question here. Let's take a look here. Let's go far chase. You get the lights up on the outside fence. We're still green. You see the green lights there on the inside with the pit wall. Let's see. We're still green. Still green. Looking for a green light somewhere here. There's the yellow finally.
Yeah, I mean, you would think as the leader just driving into turn 1 would not be an event. Wow.
All righty then.
That is just something, they go into turn 180
All right,
times.
light just flipped
There's
in
the
turn
yellow.
1. There's the light just coming on.
Yeah.
Back into... Wow. So, you know what? In fairness to Josh...
See the yellow and black smoke coming off the car, which means the motor was shot, and he's done for the night.
In fairness to Josh there, I think he was still full speed at that moment. And then the yellow came out. He goes to brake. Zing. Wow.
Incredible.
So that puts Kevin King back in the lead. Wesley Donaldson, Seth Foudy, Tyler Dalton, Scott Simley are top 5. This will be a friendly time to remind you that we still got 2 overtimes. Potentially, if needed.
Wow. I'm at a loss.
Yes.
Doesn't happen very often to see someone in the magnitude of Josh Barker have that kind of incident. And
Yeah, unfortunate deal there. Hey, before we go green, want to send a shout out to MC Racing, of course, here in the Fort Wayne, Indiana area. Always got us streaming on in the streams there while people are just showing up randomly and running laps and having a good old time in the different simulators that he has there and the different sims that you can do it on, including iRacing. I know he's had some people go in there and run officials and stuff, and you can do the same if you're coming through the area or just happen to live here. You never know. Big shout out to MC Racing and what Mark does in Fort Wayne. All right, coming to the green, 3 laps to go. As Kevin King back up front. As up top comes Justin Mons again.
yeah, there's
Squeeze
the car
himself
loose on
off
the bottom
turn
as
4.
Foudy gets
Oh,
derailed and he gets
no.
nicked.
Stimley got into Foudy. And hello, overtime.
Yeah, this comes back to that conversation we had on the outset, Chris, of the cars at a turn 2 on cold tires after restarts are just, they're a handful. We expected this tonight, and especially on restart as they're coming up through the gears and grabbing 5th at a turn 2, it's just been bedlam. Traction is absolutely missing over there.
You see Mons gets to restart, jumps to the top side on Dalton. And Seth Foudy on the bottom side there. He's got his teammate, I guess, per se, there. Turn 1 heroes of Simley there. He gets loose. And into contact from the 3 wide there to his outside. I mean, they're just racing. They're racing hard. There's no other way to put it.
Yeah, I mean, I always felt like when you got in this situation, the best thing to do is just coast. Not push hard. Let everybody else crash themselves out and just make sure you have an exit lane as it happens. Don't be tight on somebody's bumper, because once it starts like this, it just doesn't seem to be able to finish itself. And 2 drivers taking advantage of this. Mike Kelly running in 7th, right in front of him. Justin Fuller running 6th.
Wow.
So 2 drivers that have avoided all of these extracurricular activities from 146, 154, 159, 167, and so on, right here to lap 180 cautions. They're been able to pick their way back through, and now we're looking at a top 10 finish after a complicated night.
You know, there's a part of me when I see these kind of races happening. Like, there's the part of me inside that's like, you would think they would back it down and just try to get to the finish of this race so that...
Ooh, come on. I agree with you,
but it's
no.
like, nope.
Hill, somebody like EJ at work, he's going to run it as hard as he can for every lap. And there is no quit in him when it comes to this kind of stuff.
So I'm counting 18 cars on the lead lap. Not many cars on track more than that. I'm seeing, 20 cars? Maybe 21 cars still out there on track. I mean, it has been survival of the fittest here tonight in this race. Appreciate.
I mean, the byproduct of being 3 wide off of turn 2, where Scott Simley was, 2 cars to his outside. Sometimes you don't even know. Your spotter is just not able to keep you apprised of that as to where you're at. But
Appreciate
the driver who has not made the recovery is Kevin DeBrown. As fast as his car was all night long, he's still mired back there
13th,
outside the
yeah.
top 10.
I do want to say thank you to the viewers for
Right here too.
Right. For watching the broadcast here tonight. For those hanging out, obviously hit that subscribe button if you want to be a part of the Captain Esports Network. Much appreciated as always. Those on Facebook over there watching on the Sim500 page, much appreciated to you guys also for hanging out this evening. And let's see if we can put a good finish together here for this race as King, Donaldson, and EJ O'Rourke and Tyler Dalton, your top 4. Kind of funny. I see a chat over here on the Facebook page of Sim500 where EJ O'Rourke says he likes Wesley and wants to buy a Wesley t-shirt about an hour ago. And now look who starts right behind Wesley. Little irony here. Green flag back out, 2 to go. Overtime.
Good start for King. He's out clean. They're tussling back there for third as they dive into turn 1 one more time. Let's see if we get out of turn 2 clean. King out by 2 car lengths.
Everybody good so
far. So good. He was shot out of cannon there for that start, Chris, and now he's got 3 car lengths as they come back to the white flag.
We are back to the white flag, final lap. As here we go, 3 wide into turn 1 as Wesley's in a unit sandwich. 4 wide back towards about 7th as Kevin King just drives away. As here comes Dalton in there and sends it on O'Rourke and turns him. As the King reigns in Richmond, 17 wins.
And Fuller's going to sneak underneath, pick up third. Fourth will be unofficially Justin Mons with Mike Kelly closing down that 5th position. Good recovery for Mike and a good points night.
King goes and puts himself on the wall. Why not? Kevin Brown ends up turned. Fuller ends up 3rd. Mons 4th. Kelly 5th.
What an eventful night.
Slightly. I'm going to light him up as he gets the broom out here at Richmond.
He's gotten pretty good at this.
He's going to try to, I was wondering if he's going to go do all 3/4 miles here potentially.
Oh, yeah.
When he gets over to the front straightaway there. So, hey, we're going to do slightly one thing different here. We didn't cover all the bills here. Let's take a break real quick, come back, and we'll get you the interview and results here from Richmond Raceway as you're watching the Captain Esports Network.
What a nice day to install my new mailbox.
Hi there, friend. I'm Dig Safely Man. My job is to ensure you call 811 before you dig.
Why do I need to do that?
Vital utilities like natural gas and electric run just beneath the Earth's surface. Damaging them can cause service interruption, environmental hazards, or personal injury.
I thought only contractors had to call before they dig, so homeowners do too.
Call 3 business days before you dig unless you have X-ray vision. Visit nc811.org to learn more.
I'm over here yapping my gums, and I just pulled my own move on myself. Not that anybody wants to hear me anymore tonight, probably. Like, let's turn Kevin's mic on now too. Anyways, the Follies have worked their way to the press box now. As race over with Richmond, and top 8 drivers end up playoff drivers. As King wins it over Donaldson by 1.5 seconds. Justin Fuller 3rd. Justin Mons 4th. Mike Kelly with a top 5. Tyler Dalton ends up 6th. Charles Van Schaik 7th, David Comstock 8th, EJ O'Rourke 9th, Jason Karlovage 10th. Bentley Glazier 11th, Patrick Colby ends up 12th, Joey Jatina 13th, Seth Foudy 14th, Brian Wortman gets a top 15 finish. Wortman was 2 laps down about 3 hours ago and gets a 15th place finish. Nelson Rivera 16th, Scott Simley 17th, Kevin Brown, Chad Coleman, Bobby Wetzel, Mark Schrader, Josh Parker, Randy Oakham, Eric Arnold. Notice all these green numbers down here. Anthony Calantoni 25th, Doy Woods 26th, Doug Sigmund 27th, Kevin Stone 28th, Mark Jorgensen 29th, Glenn Campbell Mark Jorgensen 30th behind Kevin Stone, Campbell, Fryery, Livingston, Joe Hudson 34th and final finisher in the race. And let's talk to some drivers here, as Justin Fuller kind of told me in advance what this might be tonight, and unfortunately it was for him, but for the others too. But he does end up surviving to get a third place finish here as Justin joins us. Justin, I know it was a race that a lot of people don't want to remember, but unfortunately for that, but still you salvaged what you could out of a good night and pretty much have set yourself into racing for a championship here coming up in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good race for the 51 camp. We had a lot of adversity to come back to third, so it wasn't easy by any means. We got wrecked there about midway point of the race and had quite a bit of damage. Still had a lot of damage at the end of the race. Left front tire just wasn't the same. So, but yeah, it was. I'm just glad to get a good finish out of this. I love this track and everything but this car. So, I've said it before and I'll say it again. This car is garbage. So, not a fan of it, but we were able to salvage and just get a third place finish, and we'll move on.
Obviously, yeah, Phoenix coming up here next week, and then you reset. Is that something that, I know you're wanting to think of Phoenix only, but you're going into that following week, everything is back to scratch, back to zero for 5 races. Is that something refreshing, knowing that you're going to have Kevin up there with not that full race advantage anymore?
It doesn't really matter, does it? He's clear and far ahead of all of us, so it's going to take him making mistakes, which are pretty rare, or him getting involved in something to even have a chance. So we're just going to take what we can get, see what we can do, and just happy to be a part of it, I guess, and we'll see what we can do.
There you go, man. Well, send some shout-outs whoever you like to.
Yeah, thanks to you putting on the broadcast. Thanks to Sim500 and all the admins for what they do. Thanks to NCAA for sponsoring the series. I know they're leaving at the end of the year, so it's great to have them as a big supporter. Thanks to all my teammates, Aftermath Motorsports. Thanks to Trey Edson for always keeping me looking good on the racetrack. Thanks to Units, and yeah, just looking forward to Phoenix. I've never driven this car at Phoenix, so I don't know what to expect next week, but hopefully a little bit more grip than tonight. I didn't have a whole lot of fun tonight. I don't think a lot of people did, so it's unfortunate, but sometimes that happens. So we've had a lot of good racing this year. This one, this might be a black eye on the season, but that's okay.
Those are going to happen, man. Well, keep your head up, bud, and we'll talk next week.
Yep, have a good one.
You too, buddy. Justin Fuller finishing in the 3rd position. You can definitely hear the disappointment there, and it's fully understandable. And I've said it 100 times. Every league is going to have a race like this, unfortunately. So, Wesley Donaldson survives what almost became a Units sandwich on the final lap there. So he had EG on his outside, and he had Fuller on his inside, and now he's got Kevin next to him.
Yeah, Wesley, I know this was not the race that Sim500 was looking for, but, sometimes when you get the short track racing breaks out. And, Chris just said it was an eventful night, but you end up coming out with a 2nd place finish. I don't know how you could be disappointed with that after all that went on here.
Not at all. I mean, it's one of those where you don't quite know what to do strategy-wise. You think you make the right move, and then you get caught up in stuff, and then you got to make another move to get yourself back up front, and it's like, I don't know how it happened, but ended up towards the front, at least at the end there, and I was not going to lie, I was a little scared that EJ was going to do something that might kind of jeopardize where I was going to finish there, but he did good enough to at least not wreck me, so I appreciate that. That's already happened once this round, so it wouldn't have been a fun conversation. But either way, finished 2nd, so yeah.
We were having the conversation. Tire wear didn't seem to be that big of a deal, so to speak. Obviously, you want to get fresh tires when you can, but boy, the car looked like it was a handful all night long.
Yeah, it was the biggest thing was, well, I mean, there's a couple big things, but really like entry into the corner, you just couldn't. I couldn't find the right brake package I liked that I could really feel comfortable like setting it in on somebody if I needed to. Like you really had to baby it, and then you're kind of tight through the middle, and then you're loose off, and it just like that long run that we actually had. I got to a point that I felt like I just hardly couldn't get back to the throttle at all. So, and I think that kind of contributed to it. I think if there was like a bigger disparity between tires, it would have been a bigger deal. Because even when like Tyler and I pit the first time, that kind of put us to the back before I got caught up in that wreck. We didn't have that much newer tires, but we were hoping that it was, you know, at least going to play out a bit better that way.
Yeah.
But then I get caught up, and once we had that, it wasn't a super long green flag run there towards the end, but a little decent one, we realized it was going to be really hard to pass. So once we saw the other guys pit, Tyler and I knew right away that was going to be the call that we were going to have to make, was just to stay out and hope you don't bleed too many spots. But you just, even with the tire advantage, it was just so hard to get the throttle down, to get the run off the corner on somebody when you needed to.
Yeah, it almost looked like one of those situations where you had to wait till you were back up onto the straightaway before picking up the throttle. Otherwise, you were at risk as you squeezed the gas pedal. But in the end, was it a defensive race, trying to keep yourself out of trouble, or were you trying to charge to stay in front of everybody at the end? What was your strategy going into that green-white checker?
I mean, I really didn't think I was going to be able to get the win. It was too hard to attack at that point with the entry to the corners. It seems like if you overstep it too much, you were going to start sliding. And, you know, in that scenario, even if guys are looking at points, they're still going to take everything they can get. So for me, it was just about getting a decent start and I wanted to hang on to at least a top 3 still. I knew I had some kind of teammates, people in the channel that were around that were going to make it a little bit easier to not have to worry about getting moved. Like I said, besides EJ, but that's different. But yeah, I just hope for the best kind of at that point, played defensive, and just thought big picture. Need to put myself in a better spot going into this final race of the round, and I think I've got myself at least a little bit of a cushion now.
Yeah, it's been a tale of adversity all season long for you, and you come out of here with the second place, and heading into the final rounds, getting good finishes is obviously the way you want to finish the season, and I think you got to be happy with the second place, and maybe Phoenix will be a little less eventful. I'm hoping that's the case. Anybody want to give a shout out to, Wesley?
Yeah, I just want to say thanks to everybody here at Sim500, all the admins, everybody who helps make this stuff possible. Thanks to you guys for doing the broadcast every single week. Love going back and watching them. Thanks to all the sponsors, NC811 for being on for the last few years, Trans Service, Goat Racing Diecast, LaRue, VRS. I don't remember if I'm forgetting anything else outside of obviously WBD Diecast, which is my own company. Thanks to everybody in the Sim500 Misfits channel. We've kind of grown over the last month or so, adding in a few people. So it's been fun to race, and I look forward to Phoenix next week. I'm generally pretty decent there, so it should be fun.
Wesley Donaldson, he comes home with a second place finish, gets out of Richmond, is the best way to say it. And the one guy who seemed to have everything in control all night long is Kevin King, and Chris has caught up with him down in Victory Lane.
Let me turn my mic on again. Kevin King obviously going to celebrate another win here tonight, which makes it 17 officially here this season, as we bring up the driver of the Red Grips number 29 car. Here he is, as Kevin led pretty much most of the laps here this evening, and obviously we add to that win total here. And I mean, it's not the race that people wanted to see here tonight, and I know it got kind of hairy there for you for a little bit there, but yet another race that you were able to notch up in that win column this season.
Yeah, I think it was a lot harder this time. I think just the track and setup was a lot less forgiving. So, I mean, we had a good run, you know, but once you get everyone bunched up and it starts to get a little rowdy there, it's the setup wasn't very stable. So, not too, you know, I think that was probably what was probably going to happen. You know, I think everyone thought thing drove terribly. So, I was pretty fortunate there. I think Josh probably could have held me off. He just had a mishap there going to turn one, and had that mistake. But overall, I felt good. It's just those things have to play out your way, and thankfully they did.
Obviously, entering this season, getting things going, you started off a little rough, and then obviously the win started to show up. Is this kind of what expectations were for you this season? Obviously, to be able to say 17 wins, 23 top 10s, and 26 counted races as you're this far in?
No, I mean, not at all. I think that's. I mean, if I thought that, I'd just be. I think that'd be disparaging to the rest of the drivers in the league, thinking that I could just come in here and do that. I mean, I'm confident what I can do. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think I'm going in there thinking like, oh, this is a cakewalk. It's just, I have a lot of things going my way and a lot of fortune. You keep myself out of trouble, keep myself in position to where I can make decisions that aren't going to be kind of, should I make that call or should I not make that call type of thing. So I've been fortunate with circumstances, but as you saw, there's a lot of good drivers in this league, so it's nothing that I take for granted. I just, like I said, I try to put myself in position to where, at the end of races, it's a little bit more straightforward, and sometimes it's not always straightforward. Even tonight, thinking that take 2 and 30 some laps to go, you could probably drive through the field if you're not too far back, and it's still, at the very end was just like, man, I may not be able to pass him with only 10 laps with all these yellows. So it's not always as straightforward as it may seem. Like I said, I think it'd be pretty disrespectful for us, the guys, thinking I could just come in here and just do whatever I wanted to, because I run other leagues that doesn't happen. Definitely doesn't happen. So I'm just, I've been a lot more fortunate this season. So hopefully I can continue that. I have a couple more races to go, and we'll see what happens.
Absolutely, man. No, you've done your thing here this season, and it's been a lot of fun to watch and a lot of learning on my part. And I couldn't help but notice tonight, because we were talking about the difference between your lines here at this track and in the others. And this might even be something, I'm trying to think back to the August race. I might have asked this, but it just seemed like, again, tonight you were able, especially in turn 3 and 4, you had that dark patch of track coming off the corner. You were able to run almost a full lane lower than everybody else coming off the corner.
Well, that's by design for me. I've notoriously been bad where I get off the throttle way too soon in the middle of 3 and 4, and a good friend of mine, Kenny Humpy, teammate, he's pretty amazing at this track, who's always told me just keep it as low as you can. Don't have to go to the fence if you don't need to. And so for me, I just try to stay with that mindset of like, I don't need to make the track any longer than I need to, and just keep it as straight as you can, especially how this thing drove. So it was just really just trying to keep it as low as I can, not go full throttle as long as I can. I was shifting, which I think Mark told me he wasn't shifting. So my tires were a little worse than his after that first long run, which I didn't even think about just because it felt too bogged down in 3 and 4. But for me, I ran a race against an up-and-comer named Peter Irons a couple months ago, and he really showed me that, one, dirty air is terrible. So if I stay in the lead and just kind of ran my line, I think I would have been okay long run with tires. But 2, just being patient through 1 and 2, I think I was a little bit too impatient through 1 and 2 when I ran against him, and it really killed my tires. So for me, it was just trying to like get through the center and thinking like, okay, I still don't need to get on throttle here, just wait like an extra car length. So it probably looked like I was exiting really low, but it was just trying to save the tires as best I could, just because, like I said, I get a little throttle happy sometimes, and it ends up costing me, especially off of 4. But I think at this time, I definitely probably just, had the clean air advantage for the most part, and was able to kind of just run my line and not be too concerned with who was behind me running their line, because he was a lot wider than I was. And he had some runs. He had some runs like, man, I don't know if I'm doing this right, but then he did fall off there at the end, because I think, like I said, dirty air is pretty terrible here, and it really just cooks your tires. So, just, one of those things, I just try to keep in the back of my mind and make sure I do consistently, so I don't put myself in a bad spot.
Well, you did a great job tonight, man. Congratulations on another win, and throw some shout-outs we really to.
Yeah, absolutely. Rubgrips.com. Again, if you're a mountain biker or someone like that, just go take a look. They got a bunch of cool stuff. Admins, Joey, everyone that puts the league on, all the drivers. Like I said, I've been a part of a few different leagues, and it's always a struggle to get people to show up consistently, and these guys do it week after week. So it's always fun to come and race with them. You guys for putting on the broadcast. I mimic what Wesley says. I like to go back and watch, kind of see what happens. Like I save my replays for every race I do, just to try to I try to see what other people are doing. I try to go back and see what I was doing, if it was what I thought I was doing. So I really analyze what I do every race. So I'll go back and watch that and see how everyone was doing, see how that looks, and hopefully I can have a good run at Phoenix. It used to be one of my favorite tracks, but this new config is pretty terrible, so we'll see what happens, especially with this car. It's not the most fun, and last time I checked, that fixed setup is not amazing to drive. So I think if the guys haven't run any laps, I try to help this kid, like I said, Peter Irons, get ready for his championship race, and I ran some laps for him, and it's pretty god-awful driving. So if anyone didn't like what Richmond felt like, unfortunately Phoenix is going to feel somewhat similar, I feel like, at least the couple laps that I did. But hopefully, like I said, it's a different racetrack, it's different lines, and we'll see what happens. But I'm looking forward to that, and then getting the round of 10 started.
Absolutely, man. Well, great job tonight, and congratulations, and we will see you next week in Phoenix.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
You too. Yes, sir. Kevin King, the winner here tonight, as he celebrates. And Kevin, I couldn't help but look at some numbers while he was talking. And before I do that, let's pull up the point standings here really quickly, because obviously Kevin has moved on to the final round of 10, as mentioned. Justin Fuller is pretty safe. He would have to lose 30 points somehow to not make it, so he's pretty good. I think Tyler Dalton's pretty good. I would probably go all the way down to about there. It's about Mike Kelly. And then from there on down, anything can happen. But I would think a 14, 15 point lead should be safe going into Phoenix to get those guys advanced. But when you look at from 4th place Mike Kelly down to 10th place Josh Parker is 14 points or 15 points. And then from Josh Parker down to Chad Coleman, you see a 12-point separation there, and there's a little gap back to Calantoni, and then Simley's right there. A lot of these guys losing a lot of points here this evening with the incidents and things that took place. So a lot of people are going to need help, obviously, to get to this final round when it's all said and done. So you see Mons jumped up there a pretty good amount. And I'm actually going to double check this to make sure this is an accurate number here.
Yeah, I mean, the two drivers that stand out to me, Josh Parker, imagine where he could have been. That's the story of the night. That incident, so late in the going, leading the race, just unthinkable. Bad luck for Josh Parker tonight, and that actually puts him in jeopardy as to he has to have a good run at Phoenix, where he was going to be a lock, and you could see he drops 5 positions. The other driver had a great season, been consistent all year long, and has found some struggles lately, is Chad Coleman back there in 12th. These are two drivers I don't think that, you would think are going to be that far down. And Kevin DeBrown, as fast as he's been the last couple weeks, dropping 4 with Justin Mons moving around him, he's got to put together a good race next week at Phoenix too. So some of these drivers who have been reasonably in good shape all season long, Chris, now find themselves having to claw their way into the top 10.
Yeah, it's going to be a real interesting race come next week at the Phoenix Raceway. I mean, yeah, Coleman's got work to do. Calantoni, Simley's got work to do. A lot of guys here that are going to have to make up a pretty good amount of points here, between 15 to 20, 25 points. You look at, Jose Gonzalez, he's pretty much eliminated. Yoakum is 50 back, so he's out. Friery's 50 back, he's out. Rivera, you could say, is out. He's, 49 back? So, or 39 back, I should say. So he's pretty much out. You could almost throw Arnold out. So you got about 15 guys still in the running here, of course, to get the 10 spots when it's over with. Before we go, I could not help but run across a couple of stats here I want to throw at you. And, to show you how good Kevin King's season has been and how good his Sim500 career has been on the Cup side. Tonight was his 56th start, Kev. Everybody around him in these numbers have over 100 starts in their career in Sim500 on the Cup side. In 55 starts, he has 21 wins, which is 38% of his started races. he is already third in the all-time Cup Series wins list. He is in the laps led category. He is already third on that list, and he's only 72 laps led behind second place Justin Fuller. All of this is in 55 starts. The only other driver with numbers close to that is somebody that's actually running in the Pro Series right now, Malik Ray, who made 34 starts and had 12 wins. So what he's done this season's been pretty amazing.
What do you say about his performance this season alone? Those stats, most of it. I remember watching Kevin come into the series and run a number of races with us a year or 2 or 3 ago, and he was an also red. And I don't mean to say he wasn't competitive, but when he showed up, he was a threat to win, but he wasn't a lock to win. This season, I mean, he came in here today the favorite, and it was going to be somebody else to come and take it away from him. And I just, what he's done this year and the amount of, sheer speed that he's shown is unbelievable.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty crazy. So, but that puts a cap on Richmond. We come back next Monday night from Phoenix Raceway for the final race of the first round before we'll reset to 10 drivers. And the difference will be when we set those 10 drivers up, everybody pretty much starts at 0. And the most points for 5 races will win the Sim500 championship for 2024. We have another league race on Wednesday night here at Richmond, completing the whole week at Richmond, as I was talking about earlier. So hopefully you'll come and join us for that. It's the only other broadcast I get all week. So as we get ready for Halloween and stuff. So hopefully everybody enjoys that holiday with their families and their kiddos. Is actually one of the first years I get to enjoy Halloween with the daughter and go over to see some trick-or-treating, and Don's going to probably put a big smile on my face once over with. So looking forward to that. But otherwise, Kevin, man, final words before we take off.
Just heartbreak for Josh Parker.
Yeah.
I feel so bad that he wasn't able to close the deal tonight, and I only hope for his season that next week he can turn it around.
I believe he does have a win at Phoenix, if I remember correctly, last season, or 2 seasons ago or something like that. So he knows how to get it done there. So appreciate Kevin England as always. Hopefully he's continuing to feel better there, and we'll talk to him again next week. But thanks, Kevin, by the way.
Yep,
I got 40 things in my head at once. So, well, yeah. So we'll come back here next Monday. We'll do it again from Phoenix. Appreciate 811 for being, of course, the title sponsor for not only the Cup Series, but the Xfinity Series here the last couple of seasons. Big thanks to Joey Jatina for allowing us to come back, and all the drivers, all the viewers for making this a lot of fun to be a part of. But we'll take off, and just remember, this isn't just a game. It's iRacing. See ya.
This copyrighted broadcast may not be reproduced, reused, or retransmitted in any form without the authorized written consent of Captain eSports Network. Captain would like to thank all of his loyal fans for your continued support, and he hopes you enjoyed today's broadcast.
The following is a special presentation. From the Captain eSports Network.